Welcome everybody to Daytona Poker Live. This is Ryan Unger and I'm joined by Kyle Fischel, and we have a 5-10 no limit game featuring Chris Moneymaker over here in Daytona Beach during the Moneymaker Tour. Our game is going to be starting 5-handed here, 3K minimum. We do have one player in for 5K as well. Kyle, welcome in. We have some short-handed poker to get started with. Tell us how you've been and what's going on.
I'm doing good. I'm excited for some action here. We definitely have a good cast of characters. Obviously, Chris Moneymaker will be the headliner, a name that most people in poker know, but we got some Orlando crushers at the table that are all going to try to take their shot and build some bankroll, get some Moneymaker dollars, see how they do. Start out with Kyle 3-betting the Queen Jack off to $300. Gets called by pocket eights. Queen is going to outflop the pocket eights on this one. Seems pretty good. Kyle chooses to take his top pair medium kicker with a check. Seems like a strong candidate to go into a check call mode with. I like to take some top pairs with weak kickers into that range. He gets to check call a $300 bet. Very safe turn card. Gets to just check call pretty happily, I'd say. But when he checks, his opponent's thinking, can I get him off a weak queen? Can I get some ace highs to fold? There isn't really a flush draw on the flop, so double blocking 6-8 seems less ideal. But he's just gonna rip it. Max pressure on Kyle on the first hand. Let's see how he reacts to this. I do believe you check flop and check turn to check call, but you're not really expecting a 2x pot jam on the turn. What are your thoughts, Ryan?
I'm a little shocked on our very first hand. Romo looked like he's going to set the tone for the night, and he's putting Kyle to the test.
Blender. Kyle's checking his suits, seeing if he has club blockers, wondering if his opponent has like Queen X or 5X backdoor clubs that is going to take this line.
Well, Kyle's a very seasoned player, but having a Romo kind of like a wild card in this spot, Kyle doesn't know what he's up against. Maybe he thinks he's sitting on a set or a pair of kings. Pretty crazy first hand, Kyle.
He's just going to let it go. It's really unlikely to see a bluff here, especially the very first hand on the live stream. You just don't really expect someone to just come blasting away, but...
Does he think he's bluffing with the best hand there? Or does he think maybe he's up against an ace-king and he turned his eights into a bluff? I see your facial expressions. That's a tough one.
It could go either way. Like sometimes you think that, you know, the weakest queens fold, and that's why we do this. And other times you're like, maybe ace king, ace X is gonna call and be behind, and I get to put all my money in with the best hand. But whichever the result was, Romo takes down a pot. He's up about $600 after the first hand of play. Seems to be like a good night for him. His hourly is crazy.
Got some brand new chips in play in Daytona. If you haven't seen them before, the red chips will be 5s. Obviously the green 25, the black 100, and those beautiful orange ones. I did see some on the other side of the table. We call those the pumpkins. Those are 1,000. Looks like we're gonna have a raise with the trade deuce. Kyle is definitely going to keep the foot on the accelerator. Go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, he's definitely getting after it, but he's going to run into the queens of Nolan on this one. And at this point, you're Kyle. You just lost to a medium one. Now you're getting 3-bet. You're kind of wondering, like, were you bluffed then? Are you getting bluffed now? Are people going to take advantage of you? How are we going to respond to this? Well, we're going to defend, and we only get one of our low suited cards, so 3 cards straight flush is not really good enough. Moneymaker flops the actual flush draw of diamonds, and 1 overcard to the queens makes Nolan not feel particularly good about it. Any opponent can just have a random king. That's a dire bad spot for queens, but he does pick up open-ended on the turn.
Everybody's got a
Kyle
piece of something.
Up a flush draw.
Yeah,
very, very fair equities here. 2 flush draws, queens open-ended, and has top, like, second pair technically. And he's gonna fire a $300 bet, 1/3 pot. Don't see either opponent going anywhere.
Getting a good price.
Yeah, is a club or a diamond hitting? Which suit? What are we seeing?
I'm not rooting for anybody here. No comment. But
9.
Nolan's gonna have the safest run out there.
Yeah, queens now feels amazing. He's probably never getting paid, but both of these opponents, Kyle and Chris Moneymaker, are very capable. They can easily turn their busted flush draws into a bluff, thinking that there's not too many queens that Nolan can have, and they could theoretically have ace queen for the nuts. So we're going to see if either one of them want to get frisky after Nolan puts in a healthy size value bet. See how much he chose. Still waiting on the graphics.
Looks like he got it through.
Yeah, it didn't look like anyone was seriously contemplating making a move, but you wonder, maybe later in the night these players think that it's time to try something fancy.
Pretty interesting first two hands here. Our wild card, I'd call Romo, definitely said he's not going to take any nonsense tonight and came back over the top of Kyle there and or put Kyle to the test, excuse me. Then you get a nice three-way pot here. Plenty of equity on the turn, and Nolan started with the best hand, finished with the best hand, but boy, could he have been in trouble, like you said, if a diamond or a club came. And looks like we may be off to a fast start, even short-handed here.
Is Kyle reaching for chips? Is Kyle already topping off?
It does look like Kyle has topped off. My tracker here shows him roughly around 9K here, so he must have added on 4K here.
Yep, he is trying to play deep. He's trying to get in the mix, build some pots, get a decent stack going, not be afraid to get bullied by these people when they make it. Since both hands have been $300 pre, 3K does not seem like enough to be at this table. It's been 2 hands, 2 3-bets. Every pot's been over like $1,500. They look like they're going to be after it tonight.
I think the numbers may be incorrect. I thought Chris had the 25 on it, so it says call 20, but I believe that's a straddle there. We are going to be three-handed with the 6-6-4. It's not really going to hit anybody here.
Yeah, with a ton of misses, we see who wants to throw some aggression, take it down, but Romo picks up an 8. 8 seems to be his lucky number tonight. He's going to put in a small bet. 75. Actually a pot-sized bet. Small compared to the other size of the pots, but this one's a pot-sized bet. Max protection with your top pair. Any overcard higher than 8 you feel kind of bad about, so very reasonable bet size with that hand.
And that's 2 hands he's taken down without having a showdown, so a little bit of a mystery.
Good image.
Yep, so as you see behind the dealer there, we have our Moneymaker Tour banner signed by Chris. The Moneymaker Tour in town for another stop. This weekend we have our $1,500 main event, $300,000 guaranteed prize pool, and today we had 81 runners. Another flight on Friday and Saturday, and some satellites left with guarantees with seats and no satellites. If you want to check out DaytonaBeachPoker.com, or you can find more information on the Moneymaker link when you go to the website there. We're also streaming tonight on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And we'll have more information on our new Instagram account later in the stream. I'll let you catch us up here, Kyle. I see you're three-handed here.
Yeah, Chris Moneymaker opens a unsuited ace to $75, 3 exit, flops an ace. We have 2 different players with hearts. This dealer's dealing some pain tonight. And we get a heart instantly. Kyle with the second nuts. Romo with the nut blocker, actually, because 4-5 is a straight flush. So he probably feels pretty good with his 8 high there. Moneymaker picks up a straight draw as well. But just a pair of aces. He's drawing dead to the made flushes. Romo's going to just call with his made flush too. 8 high, not the strongest, but shouldn't be too concerned yet. See how big Kyle goes with a king high flush. Looks like over pot into a $900 pot. Kyle bets 1,075. He's definitely repping nuts or nothing. This time he has a nutted hand. Looks like Chris Moneymaker's not a believer. He calls. Not if you're Romo, it's just a gross spot. Like an over pot size bet and a call. Oh, having a flush here is miserable. How could you ever think your flush isn't good? But 2 people have shown significant interest in this hand, and your flush is only 8 high.
And he calls.
He's gonna have to stick. Yeah, he's gonna have to stick it in as well. It's hard to make a flush. It's even harder to fold a flush.
The way Kyle turned his hand over, he felt he was good.
Well, yeah, absolutely, he's good. If they had the ace high flush or the straight flush, they raise. So
Yeah.
he's just called. When he's just called, he absolutely has the best hand. So he's pretty confident on that one.
We see a chink in the armor for Romo, but that you can call that a cold deck possibly. And Chris a little loose there.
Yeah, it being the 6 as well. Just Romo has the nut blocker. Like it's so significant. If you had ace 5, it would be better than if you had ace 10 there, for obvious reasons. Because the straight flush is definitely possible. We've seen Chris Moneymaker play 5-3 of diamonds. We've seen Kyle play deuce 3 of clubs. Like, baby suited connectors is definitely possible here. So you can't even like fully discount that these are out of their opponent's ranges. But that being said, a straight flush is very unlikely, very hard to hit, but not impossible.
So we're in hand number 5 here, and Kyle's now right around 12,000. So start with 5K, it did reload. Chris Moneymaker, original buy-in of 3K, just less than 1,000, so he's going to have some work to do here. Do got about 50 viewers across our streams here, Kyle. So I did put a text out to my mom to get her to join in. So if you can do the same, that would at least add 2 more or 1%.
At least 2 more. I will post on Instagram in a second, but we're gonna start out with Chris Moneymaker just ripping the ace jack off. Kyle is actually getting a pretty good price. Yeah, he's gonna have to stick that in there.
2 live ones, Kyle.
Yeah, when it's only 700 to call because you put 300 in already, you're kind of put yourself in the spot. But
we're going one time here.
Yeah, roughly 40% equity is good enough. We take that. That's fine.
Let's see if they agree on here. They're showing a card. Oh, Jack versus 7-5 we're seeing.
7-5 picks up a gutter. 6 ball for the win. 5, 6, 7, or Moneymaker doubles. It's an 8. Clean run out for ace jack.
All right, first time we've seen Chris drag chips tonight. We know from previous streams that he is not afraid to splash. Him and Kyle may be tangling. I know that there was a cash game over in Orange City last evening, and can't confirm nor deny that these gentlemen were part of that game. See the shiny head of Tom Wheaton pop in to bring some snacks to Chris Moneymaker. Kyle, I don't know what you'll be doing on Monday, but if you want to watch a stream of a final table, it'll be Tom Wheaton and yours truly doing day 3 of the Moneymaker main. And you probably won't learn anything, Kyle, but you may be entertained. We have a lot of exciting announcements and some cool new graphics to show off in the stream on Monday. So I look forward to seeing you in chat. Yeah, now that you are officially Hendon mobbed up here, Kyle, with his first tournament cash.
I had one before. That's my second. Actually, it's like my 5th cash ever, but 3 of them just never made the Hendon mob for whatever reason.
I've been using that excuse myself there.
We're gonna absolutely climb the Florida all-time money list next time the Orange
Have you
City
heard of Jason
up.
Mercier? I'm not sure if you've heard of this gentleman before.
Yeah, I actually saw him in Hollywood this weekend, playing the main event there for 3,500.
Well, good luck passing him on that all-time list, but I'm rooting for you, pal.
Yeah,
Don't forget us little guys.
But I've got years to work on it.
You do have youth on your side there. Playing a lot of cash games on the west coast of Florida. Look forward to having you back over here in person and also in the future back in Orange City with your old meetup game we used to do. We used to enjoy the old 1-3 with Dr. Fischl here.
Yeah, those were very fun. I provided so much action. I say I because I would often go thousands in the hole playing just 1-3. Giving back to the fans, the viewers, the wonderful players in Orange City. Gotta give action in your own game, right? You can't just invite people out and then not play any hands.
I still look forward to making a final table with your hat on one day, Kyle. It's a goal. First, I'd have to be in the tournament and also have your hat with me, but it's a goal.
I like that goal.
The official hat. So a raise and take it here with that was off a straddle, I believe.
Yep, but it seems as though players are kind of vanishing on us.
We got a little poker ADD, I call that, Kyle. You got the restroom, you got a reload, TV, snacks.
Oh, they're coming back. They had to go put a tweet out there. show everyone the stream that they're on.
We talked right
Helping
before the
the
stream
viewership.
started about ranges and play short-handed, and you talked to me a little bit about how you would adjust. You said that a lot of people overestimate how much adjusting you need to do in a short-handed cash game. If you want to tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, because it's cash and not a tournament, you're not really interested in stealing the blinds. Like, yeah, it can help, especially in a 3-blind game, but the real money's going to be made on the river and the turn, not even the flop. So you have to have hands that are going to be good enough to withstand multiple bullets and go multiple streets, like ace-queen offsuit, which can happily 3-bet huge to 500 and gets a call by jack-8. So, again, you don't have to wind up too big because you wait for a good hand, bet 500, get called, and now you're in position with a strong hand. Not the best flop for ace-queen. Range-wise, it's terrible, and Kyle checks back, realizing that. He never really has that board when he 3-bets to such a big size. Chris probably feeling very comfortable with an 8. And he's just going to rip it. He knows that Kyle's a lot of ace-x here. A lot of his overpairs continue, at least at some frequency. So when Kyle checks back flop, it's a fine strategy. We'd like to just pair our ace, pair our queen, get a scary overcard that can slow him down. But when we don't hit it, Chris has the green light to just go for max protection with his pair.
And Chris knows his customer here. He sees Kyle's not afraid to splash around, make some big calls, playing that big stack. And now we get some table talk.
Yep. Well, Kyle's already called off with 7-5 once, so Chris knows that he's capable of calling with light, calling with draws. Maybe just 2 overcards. He has the chips in hand. He's leaning in on it. More talk, decision making.
You wonder how many times in his life Chris has been in this situation where he can call or get a fold, talk his opponent into it. Playing these games for so long, playing at a high level.
Speech play is an art. You do have to practice it. You have to figure out your opponent's ticks, like what's going to make them react a certain way. So experience is the best medicine for this one.
That last statement was just pay me. That's a pretty strong statement.
Yeah, I've never heard that one before myself personally. So
just pay me.
Sometimes you think of these responses and you wonder, like, okay, is he being genuine? Is he saying the exact opposite of what he wants because he's trying to get a certain reaction out of me? Because good players will perfectly mix up their speeches.
I'm not 100% sure, but I think Chris was saying time at the very last second there. Might have been calling a clock to razz him a little bit too there.
Oh, that is extra pain.
The pain tonight, Kyle's going to be the slow rolls, and I know for a fact Tony in white and Chris in black there sitting next to each other are looking for the slow roll moment. I requested my favorite 4 of a kind slow roll, which is I got 2 pair, 6s and 6s. We'll see if that one does come out tonight. This is the dealer who actually mentioned the word slow roll and willed it into existence, John. So,
oh no.
Let's see if the dealers manifest the big hand here. So once again, we are 5-handed here. You see Tony, seat 1 in the white. There's Chris Moneymaker in seat 2. We got Nolan right there to the right of your screen, and the other players are Romo and Kyle. These players did buy in for a minimum of $3K, but I believe Kyle is in for about $9 at this point. This is a 5-10 no-limit game, $25 optional straddle. And we may have some players joining. I haven't gotten word yet. There was plans for a couple more folks, and things come up, and maybe someone actually bought in late to the tournament and is trying to bag a big stack. There's a $300K prize pool out there, guaranteed. So we'll see. It is early in the stream. This is hand number 9, and we have a set on the flop.
Yeah, 4 ways, single raised pot. I mean, obviously, if you're pocket 5s, you hope someone has an ace because you're getting paid a lot of the time. But it seems as though no one really has much of anything. The 3's a bad card for the set. You'd rather be middling and cleaner, but I guess it's better than a heart. That one would also be pretty bad. We see some chats. Hi, Nicole.
Yeah, I found the chat button there. I'm glad Nicole's able to join. I'm sure if she's
Yeah.
not out of town this weekend, she'll be trying to find a big bag in this tournament. We wish her the best of luck and hope to see her on another cash stream soon. Always fun. I believe she wins on every stream that you commentate on, so she probably wishes she was sitting here.
She should have signed up today.
You know how these things go. It's fluid.
So Kyle's going to pick a very unfortunate time to raise. Given certain river cards, it's possible a set folds, but almost never. Sometimes when you have 3 of a kind, you just have to sigh and put the money in. Kyle's definitely capable of having a 4 here. Not many people are, so wonder if that's what's going through Nolan's head. Kyle's shown down some adventurous hands, which is fine as long as you balance it correctly. And raises are pretty strong. They usually don't have too many bluffs here, and the bluffs that they would have would typically be hearts. Maybe like 6, 7, sometimes bluffs here as well. But 9, 10 is a creative one, just kind of saying, you don't have a 4, I could have a 4, I have the nut advantage, so I'm going to raise.
Are you surprised on the call here, Kyle? Because does Nolan really want to see a river card?
Oh yeah, he absolutely is calling this. Because board pair makes it easy. But we don't get that. We get a dicey one. But it's not, again, it's not even certain that Kyle's going to continue the story. It does go check, check. This is kind of what I like to call a one and done. You know, you go into a... On the turn, the player who calls the raise is basically saying that he doesn't believe Kyle has a 4, and it's hard to rep anything when the 8 comes out. If the river was like the jack of hearts, I expect Kyle to bet again, and then really put 5s in a tough spot, because that is most of the bluffs are random hearts. So if a 5 comes or a heart comes, then Kyle probably unloads the clip and puts 5s in a miserable spot. But an offsuit 8 is kind of hard to tell the story, because if your opponent has a 4, he's just never folding ever. So the bluff attempt is just really costing you money. But a 4 would fold if a heart comes. So I believe Kyle was counting some bluff outs there. And just sometimes you don't get the one that you need to continue telling the story.
See, Brandon joined us in chat. Brandon, how you doing tonight? Yep, this is going to be a fun game. It is shorthanded right now, but there's been a lot of action. And Nicole, I mean, if you had some kind of presidential privilege, maybe they can helicopter you in. The game is just started, but I'm sure we'll see on the next one. It's like Tony had the straddle. Nolan raised it up. Tony did call with the Queen 7. And an Ace King 8 board. Nolan's going to continue, and Tony's probably going to let the Queen High go.
Yeah, gets one through. Just a hand that, as a pre-flop raiser, is going to connect with you a lot. A lot of people know that they have to c-bet on the Ace and King High boards, so pretty free to just do it. And when you have Queen 7 off, like it's so hard to continue, because the times that your opponent does have an Ace or a King, you're just drawing almost dead. So even though it's possible your opponent could be bluffing, there are just so many times where you have 0 equity, so it's just time to just let that one go.
Brandon, I've been good. I know Kyle's doing well also. Not a newly married man anymore, but definitely enjoying life. You playing this tournament this weekend, Brandon? And if you are you satelliting in? Or are you firing this 1,500 bullet? Because how strong it is to fire 1,500 into a 300K guarantee.
It only takes 1 bullet to win the whole thing. Just remember that. Just takes 1.
It just takes 1. The quote I saw from the UFC, you have to hate losing more than you like winning. I don't know if that really fighting in poker. But
I like that one. I think it applies more for poker. In poker, you will have times where it's just months and months of pain. That's just how it's going to be. Sometimes nothing's going to work. And you have to just, like, hate losing so much that you're going to commit yourself to playing better, studying more, trying harder.
You don't blame the 8-letter word variance?
Oh, never do that. But Romo has 3 of a kind here. He's not going to let this one check through. Definitely has to put out a bet here. I think he chose over pot. Nice $400 bet. Chris is capable of calling with ace high here if he thinks his opponent's bluffing. And to be fair, a lot of bluffs do make sense here. Jack 10, 6 7, 10 7. All the straight draws miss. Pretty clean board to call with ace high, if I'm being honest. But this time, Romo just backed himself into a third deuce, which is going to make his hand very strong and very unbeatable this time.
When you're thinking about making that call there with an ace high or a bluff catcher, and they're betting more than pot, I know this is slightly more than pot, not like a 2x pot. Does that go into a factor in your thoughts there? 400 and a 360?
Yeah, absolutely, because he's saying he has nuts or nothing. And the nuts on this board are pocket nine specifically and a random deuce. So there's not a whole lot of nuts even available, but the nothings, there's a ton of, even like queen jack and queen 10. Those would be hands that sometimes go over pot because they miss their straight draws, gut shots, and overs, and the ace high beats all of them. So completely reasonable spot to call with ace high. Just sometimes the person just has it.
Let's go ahead and mark the tape on this one and make a YouTube short or something on TikTok. Chris has asked us to go ahead and delete the footage of that hand, so we'll definitely mark the tape.
Yeah.
Looks like we have Jim in chat too. Hello, Jim. Yes, this is an action game. Kyle is away from the table momentarily, but we've definitely had action, and we've had some big calls, and we've also had some big pots early on. Players bought in for 3K minimum.
Multiple 2K and 3K pots, and we're only 7 to 10 hands into it, so I feel like it's going pretty well. Here we see Tony with an ace queen versus pocket nines, two very reasonable hands. And nines is gonna flop a set. I believe that's Nolan's second set tonight. He's running good at flopping three of a kind. Goes small with it. Doesn't really want to 50, very, very small. Wants to keep his opponent there with every hand he has, which includes ace queen, which has 2% chance of winning, down to dust. No chance ace queen wins, but see if Nolan goes very small, very milky again. On this specific board, I think sizing up turn is better, because sometimes your opponent has heart draws, maybe jack 10, all those middling straight cards. You don't want to let them see the river for free, but you're pretty happy to get some action from those hands.
Because of the king nine hearts on there, you're never going to check to induce?
No, because some flush draws are just going to check and get to see it for free, and when they whiff, they're just going to check fold. So your only chance of getting money in the middle is on the turn, most of the time when your opponent has a flush draw. Now, yeah, player-specific, some players like to be aggressive with their draws, and if you're at a table like that, you can just adjust, but we're pretty happy. We're happy we got money in on the turn. Now the board pairs, we're betting somewhat big here, hoping a random king X pays us off, because obviously busted hearts are just going to fold or raise if they're being extra spicy. But we are very confident with our pocket nines here. It looks like we're seeing another possible ace high call down, and it is. Another player calls down with ace high. These are actually relatively good call downs because he doesn't have any hearts in his hand. If the queen is less ideal, you'd rather have like ace 5 here because you want your opponent to also have like queen 10, queen jack, all the middling straight cards, and you block some of the straight draws. But when you block no flush draws, you don't really expect your opponent to bet all 3 streets with a single pair. So again, it's one of those nuts or nothing situations, but people keep waking up with the nuts. Just full houses.
Especially short-handed, highly unlikely.
Yeah. And you can't let players just bet you off hands continuously on a short-handed game, because you start building an image that you're going to fold a lot, people will start putting extra money against you and put you in more difficult spots. We see Kyle rocking a new Moneymaker hoodie.
It is a Moneymaker fashion show going on, and should be. Great merchandise. I got myself a pullover last year, and I do wear my hat along with my Kyle. I'm going to start a whole hat rack of poker. I got my Kyle official hat. I got my Moneymaker hat. I got a nice Daytona Beach, and I also have an Orange City trucker cap.
There you go.
Got to represent.
Next you get the Rampage punter hat. That one's kind of funny. I like that one. Romo with ace queen, facing some limps. He's not going to limp. He says, I have ace queen, and I think you have to pay $150 to see a hand. But everyone folds. disappointing result when you have ace queen. You'd love to see some action, especially at this table. People have been calling with pretty much anything. So kind of shocked that he doesn't get action with ace queen, but
there's no room to hide five-handed. I mean, you're in the blinds here 40% of the time, and
yeah, Romo's only shown down the goods. With that being said, he did kind of bluff the first hand with eights, but he's only shown down the goods. And that can be good for your image. Gotta keep that in mind as you go forward. Fives for Tony. He's gonna raise it up.
I did see a straddle on that, so going to 75 off the 5-10.
Yep. 10-7 suited, not unplayable. Nolan agrees. Queen Jack suited, 3-bettable. We'll see if Romo agrees.
Is that the problem with Nolan calling there, is that you can get exploited there if the big blind decides to squeeze?
Yeah, definitely. But you have to accept the risk of the play. You've kind of explained the strength of your hand with just calling. And this is a board that theoretically wouldn't connect with the caller all too often, except he happens to have four different clubs out there, which feels very good. I think it's a pretty comfortable call, even though he's versing a pot-sized bet, it looks like.
Tony definitely does not want to see the 5 of clubs. That would be a cold card.
Would be an expensive one.
I'm not willing that into existence. So, okay, there we go. Pair of the board, 8s. Doesn't change much. The equity drops a little bit because Nolan only has one chance now to catch that flush. There's no straight draws. Tony with 8s and 5s. He's going to let the river come. And
10
wow,
high is the winner.
We got a counterfeit situation here, and Tony may check behind here. He's got a bet to win this. We got 350 in the pot. Is like a 250 bet. Looks like 175. Very good bet.
Oh, says he could see one, but then shows the full bluff, full counterfeit.
That is a tough run out there.
Yeah, good bet by the opponent. But I do think that he does have ace highs there a lot. Sometimes you're just value betting ace high because when the small blind checks both streets, it would not check river if they had a king almost ever. An 8, sometimes, but as long as your opponent doesn't have a full house, they're probably folding unless they have ace high specifically. So 5s get to take a risk on betting in position when there's been a lot of evidence of weakness, and this time it works out for him.
Depending on how this goes with the players here, we're probably in the seat here for a few more hours. I see about 50 viewers. Please share this. Let people know that they can see us right now on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We'd love to have some more folks watching this while Moneymaker is in town for the Moneymaker tour. Main event this weekend. We've already had Flight A, 2 more flights at $1,500 for this $300K guarantee. Always have a cash game on Moneymakers here. He's not afraid to jump in and splash around with the locals if he can.
We're going to see Kyle steal one here. Button opens, he 3-bets the queen 6. Kind of a tone-setting 3-bet. Saying that you can't 3-bet, you can't raise the button light because I'm going to 3-bet with a lot of holding. So you better have your hand ready to play for bigger if you're versing, trying to take my blind.
As you see on the crawl at the bottom, you can go to DaytonaPoker.com. We're also on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. And we are announcing our rebranded Instagram. You can look and follow Daytona Poker on Instagram. It is just now launching with brand new content going to be coming out in waves in May. So please join. There will be giveaways and all kinds of stuff to do on Instagram. We're very excited about the relaunch of Instagram for Daytona Beach and Orange City.
Oh, I'm going to follow that. That sounds fun.
Got to see us on the IG.
I love poker Instagrams.
We need to start a poker Uber where you can literally press a button and have an Uber driver drop random players off of your stream. What do you think about that?
That would be helpful for this stream specifically. I'm not sure too many people would buy into that.
Maybe the driver himself would pop in if he saw the action going on at this table.
Probably here. King high will be the best hand. Dicey board. Chris is no quitter. Steals one away. Doesn't let the king high get it for free. and then shows 6 high, like a boss.
Bets the pot, wins it with the bluff. Hi, Kristen. Nice to see you in chat, too. Sorry, Kyle. If someone calls me out, I got to take the adulation here. I'm very happy to have any name drops here. Take what I can get.
And apparently they want your stories, so have any stories for us?
Well, you're lucky because there's a Kyle at the table and you're Kyle, so anytime you hear anything good we don't know, we could just assume it's for you. Your action as well, right?
Could be for anyone.
I identify as a Kyle if it gets me at a live stream table.
It is a good name for a poker player, I have to admit. So here we see Kyle just call with 3s. He's been very aggressive previously, so now he's just going to go for a little set mine in position.
And Nolan is going to make it a family hand here. Looks like we have a slight delay here, so we'll have a mystery flop. Oh, we're caught up. That's artificial unintelligence, Kyle.
We're at a bomb pot, 75 bucks a player, and we do not find the case 3 as we saw Tony have a 3.
Look at Romo's equity, huge.
Yeah, Romo top pair and a flush draw. Hard for him to lose this one. Sitting there, oh, they bet 200, but I have top pair and a flush draw. Guess I can just call. So much equity and position. A lot of good things going for Romo here. Deuce takes away some of Chris's outs, and 9 no longer gives him the winner. 10s and deuces will be better.
Chris got stunned by Romo's jack deuce earlier.
That is true. Romo does like the deuces.
Some say they never loses, but not this guy. So Romo is sizing up here, 775 in there. Looks about 500 or 600 based on the shadow there. Good guess.
600.
Chris is going to let it go.
Yeah, I do think you have to put in some money there. You beat most other 10s. You beat most other flush draws. You don't want Jack 9 to get there for free. So, good spot to bet. There's almost no river card you're upset about except maybe exactly like the ace of clubs. But pretty easy bet spot. Reevaluate river.
Chris begged us to delete the footage of the jack deuce hand as he reminds everyone at the table about that particular hand. So, must be a glutton for punishment tonight. Kyle has the ace deuce suited, is going to pump it to 75. It's going to get Tony out. Chris in a small blind with jack 9, not interested. Nolan wakes up with the real one here. He's in the big blind with ace king off. 65 to call. I think Romo was under the gun, so yep, he's going to go ahead and 3-bet it to 300. Romo must have been a straddle or a limper. He's out. So now back to Kyle, ace deuce suited. And he's going to splash call here, so we're heads up with 6 something.
Quitter.
Nope.
His ace is suited. He likes spades. Can he hit a deuce? Deuces have been hot at this table.
Backdoor flush draw and a gutter.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, his opponent pairs his king. That's going to be disappointing for Kyle, but he might have just enough equity to call 1 bet, depending on the size. See how big Nolan wants to go with top pair, top kicker into a draw-heavy board.
What would be your sizing here? I'm thinking 450-ish.
Anywhere between 300 and 450, even 500 if you think your opponent's extra sticky is fine.
Ooh, a little small on that. That's a call me bet, I guess. He's giving him his equity there. He's going to give a chance to realize some of that.
Well, it's out of position. You don't want the pot to get too out of hand for like that card that comes. Although it doesn't make Kyle's hand, it's a card you don't want to see if you're Nolan.
Do we end up just checking here now with that scary turn?
Unfortunately for Kyle, he might feel inclined to bluff at this, but he chooses not to. Good discipline, because it does look like a board where your opponent has some showdown value, but is afraid of a flush, and then that makes it even weirder when the board pairs. So,
with that hand, it gets Nolan to a full double, Kyle.
Yeah, that's a good start. We like poker when we can double our money in roughly 40 minutes. Yeah, unfortunately for Kyle, that seemed like a good bluff spot, but also like maybe your opponent's checking because he's never folding. Because some players just make it up in their mind that they're check calling no matter what it is. So Oh, we see some stats on the screen.
So I got a new button tonight. I used to press the button to get the stats up here, but guess what? Now I just can put them anywhere you want.
There you go.
I'm the guy. You need the stats? I'm going to show you. We got
Tell
the
me some
VPIP on
stats.
there. Well, let's look at this hand. We have KJ versus KJ here.
My middle name is Jonathan. I'm KJ.
I'd love to hear the other Kyle's middle name then. He's got the pocket sevens, and we have a 5-4 suited in there as well. So we're three-handed with quite an
Single
array
raised
here.
Pot.
A gut shot straight flush draw is available right now.
Tony's going for the high hand, obviously.
80% of a straight flush.
It's hard to get that.
Did you have any straight flushes in your big tournament cash recently?
No, but I had a friend that made quads, and that was exciting to see.
Someone wasted their one time? Yeah.
Make quads on a tournament. Give you some momentum to go deep.
You never get to pick the value of the tournament you do it in. It's not a World Series tournament. It's a cruise ship sit and go, but what can you do?
Yeah, that's a tough break. Kyle's picked some interesting bluff spots, and this one is sevens is a night candidate here. It wraps around the 8 and 6, so he's got a lot of cards that give him at least a straight draw, and then sometimes he bluffs again if a heart comes, but it does look like Tony's gonna call. No, Tony did 3-bet it. I thought I saw that originally, that 3-bet flop. You want to pile as much money in as possible with a 4-card straight flush, because if the turn is like the queen of clubs, your hand got significantly worse. Like it went from I have all the outs and all the equity to I have 5 high and really not excited about it anymore.
So here's your VPIP stats if you wanted to catch it. You do see Chris 60%, or excuse me, 52%. Nolan around 60. I believe Chris is usually hovering the 80 range on the previous streams. But it is 5-handed, and the players have been pretty game. 20 hands in. We have had as much action as you can have on a 5-handed game. So kudos to them for giving us something fun to watch here.
Yeah, it's almost better to see the same players just battling back and forth, like really building dynamics with the players at the tables. We've seen a lot of 3-betting, a few 4-betting, 3-bet on the flop. Like, they're definitely willing to bluff, put the money in there, and we've seen some big hands. So this time Kyle raises to 175 with a suited 10. Jack 9 and position. When you're up piles, seems reasonable. And the player who's up almost $3,000 does decide to call and play in position with an offsuit Jack 9. And flops a Jack. We like that. Kyle has diamonds. He likes that. Both players have a decent amount of equity. This dealer is dealing some action flops. Kyle's going to continue for $150. Very reasonable with your flush draw. On this board, your opponent's going to miss a lot of the time, and you just win. Otherwise, you get to hopefully hit your flush or a straight card. Nolan having a pair of jacks, he can't fold. Flop top pair, that seems good. Now Kyle has a pair. A 6 gives him an out as well.
That is a lot of outs.
Yeah, we're going to see if he chooses to check here, picking up some showdown value. But he looks like he's going to put some pressure on weak jacks, better flush draws.
It's like 775 there. That's a pretty healthy bet. That is a pot-sized bet.
Yeah, maybe 7s, 8s, 9s pay you, thinking that you're full of it. So there's some worse hands that call here that you're beating. Otherwise, we get to build the pot and hopefully hit a diamond 10 or 6 and have an easy decision.
Another Kyle in the chat wants to play, so that's 3 Kyles.
Yeah. Kyle's
Comes
one
in
of the best
groups.
people for poker. So Nolan in a dicier spot now, because it's not just calling the turn, it's wondering if your opponent's going to really fire the shell in the river. Because once you put in the 775, if your opponent puts in like 1200 on the river and the river doesn't improve your hand at all, it's a really tough spot.
The 6 is a nice needle there.
Yeah, does make it look like Nolan had the best hand. Very few hands with that 6 that you're very worried about. Almost none. Even ace-6 of diamonds isn't doing too bad against.
I'm thinking about the players that are trying to get a bag right now. You'd think 1,500 buy-in, someone takes kind of a sick beat and registration's over. Maybe they end up at this table, and maybe that's not a good thing with the action going here right now, trying to win your buy-in back. But there are seats open. Not sure anyone who might want to take us up on that offer. Go recruit from the tournament.
If I was around, I'd be jumping in there. Can't get much better of an action table than this. We're seeing 3 bets with 10 high. We're seeing 3 bets on the flop with 5 high.
Well, you can satellite in for as little as 186 to play the main. There's 2 of those satellites tomorrow. Or you can just come play this cash game and get in the right pot here. Flop is set. It's happened quite a few times. Maybe steal a piece of Romo's pizza over there, or flop red. Looks pretty good.
Only takes 1 big hand to make your night here. Just 1 hand has to go your way at the right time, and you're good to go.
They won't be playing 4 cards tonight, but a lot of these players do splash around on those Omaha streets too. Be fun to see some of that in the future here. So right now we have heads-up action. We lost our graphics for half a second there, but Nolan's firing out 50. Camera's jumping around. I got the cameraman Jonathan behind me doing a great job. Go press a couple buttons to get on his nerves here.
No, Brandon Lowe, if you have 3K and you're in the area, you can jump right on this table.
It'd be unethical because I work here, Brandon, but I can float you some of that if you need it. I know Kyle's good for the Venmo.
Oh, yeah. I love fronting people money for poker. I always get paid. No one has ever stiffed me on that.
So it's a mystery what we have in the hole cards here, but the 9-10 would be a sweet hand to have here. Any kind of a spade combo with a pair possibly. Nolan is going to check behind, so we're heads up to the river here. Little mystery hole card hand here.
And it's a mystery river, too.
Yeah, but
looks like Chris is going to fire big. I think he's a $1,000 chip in his hand.
Well, we're going to have a floor call here. It looks like the 10 and the 8 were stuck together coming off of the deck. They're saying the 8 would be the natural river card, so I couldn't see the angle, but let's see what they decide to do here. Moneymaker had an orange chip in his hand.
Yep.
But the 8 coming or the 10 shows a couple different card combos. It's a really interesting dynamic, actually. With the 2 spades out there, that 10 of spades would be an important card for someone having their hand, but also the 8 pairing the board. So it's kind of interesting the dynamic that happens when you get to see free information.
Yeah, not too many. Can't have 10x of spades. Gets rid of some 10-9 combinations for straights. Does is a very relevant card for that board. And then,
as a former dealer, whenever I flipped a player's card up, I always said it always had to be an ace. I never flipped the deuce, so they were never happy with me. It was always I had to flip an ace. And the 8 does make a boat for him. Is that 8 queen in his hand? I can't.
That does look like 8 queen to me from the distance that we have.
Maybe the queen of hearts. It's hard to tell from here. Can't be the queen of spades. If it is, we have a really bad problem with the deck. So it looks like Nolan did get paid off here. 500 was the bet. Chris gets his 500 change.
How much was I going to bet? 600?
Let's make sure those cards aren't sticky, and let's get on to the next hand here. I don't know if they're changing the setup or not. Looks like they are, so we'll have a quick delay here. While they're doing that, they're going to put those cards in. Do want to remind everybody why we're here. We're doing a cash stream with Chris Moneymaker, who's in town for the Moneymaker Tour. It's not the first time they've been here, and when they are here, we do have big guarantees, and we always crush them. This weekend is a $300K. You can get in tomorrow and Saturday at 11 a.m. if you want to buy in for $1,500. Excuse me, it's going to be noon, 11 a.m. another time zone. You could also satellite in for as low as $186. That seems a little high for you. We are doing one more trophy event. That'll be event number 12 this Sunday at 1 p.m. And that's a 500 buy-in, 20K guarantee. If you didn't see these trophies, check our social media out. They're big. Some would say substantial with that Moneymaker logo on them. Pretty solid. Get yourself a hoodie, a hat, and take a trophy. Nothing wrong with that. That stream will be occurring Monday playing down to a winner. I believe we'll be six-handed is the goal. You'll hear myself and Tom Wheaton from Faded Spade on that stream. Have some big announcements and some exciting graphics to share with you during that stream. As I said a few minutes ago, we are on Instagram now. We have brand new accounts for Orange City Poker and Daytona Poker, so please give us a follow. Get yourself a giveaway. All kinds of promos coming out through Instagram. Always on Facebook. You can find us on X as well. And we are back, and we can see cards, and we have the 10-8 suited, Kyle, and I've played plenty of 10-8 suited in my life. What do you think about that hand?
I like it. It's better than 9-8, partially because, you know, the 10's not a 9, but also, like, 9-8 is a hand that the computer hates, because on the Queen Jack 10 board, you run into Ace King get cooler some of the times. So if you're going to play suited gappers, this one is one of the better ones. You know, you want to have some middling cards that you're going to play at any time, because if a board comes middling cards and you only play Ace X and premiums, then without enough board coverage, players can always just know that you're never really going to have a nutted hand. And this board, Chris has a nutted hand. He just flops a full house. That 10-8 is not looking very good. Quickly goes check, check. Makes a lot of sense. Chris has so much board locked up. It's hard to even expect to even paid anything.
I don't think Robo can call here with his gutter, but Chris doesn't want the pot to stay idle at 600. It's got to try and build it to something and get value with his queens full. But that's not the turn card that's going to do it with Romo's holding.
Yep, can't wait forever and hope your opponent's going to bluff at it. On the bright side, the Jack was a two-tone board, so two different flush draws that possibly could have worked for him.
Well, Kyle, sometimes you have to build your own pot. Sometimes you have the King Jack and the guy flops the set of 8s and the running King Jack comes, and sometimes it doesn't.
Sometimes you get it all in versus Kings full and you just make quads and win a tournament. Easy game.
The only thing is that mine's not on YouTube. There may be a picture with my hands in the air celebrating goofily as I hit a one-outer, but yours is in the streets if we want to view Kyle taking down some nice pots.
One-outers are fun. We do like one-outers.
Where can people find your content, Kyle?
Hi, for anyone who does not know me, I am Kyle Fischl. Kyle, F-I-S-C-H-L. I'm on YouTube. I make poker videos that are supposed to be at least moderately informational, give people some insight, some strategy, a little bit of entertainment, all in one.
Throw in a little movie clip or a line from a show. I like that kind of content, Kyle. It makes it more fun and not, you know, you see boring streams or boring videos. It's nice when people spend the time editing. I've always enjoyed watching your content, and that's why you're such a valuable asset to these streams for us, Kyle.
Yeah, try to give a little bit of just a smidge, a sprinkling of higher level poker insight from lots of study on computers and with players much better than myself to be a little. We all just want to get a little bit better at the game. We play it to get better, to move up in stakes, all that stuff. And flopping top pair will help you move up in stakes when someone bets into you for $175. Nolan position, top pair, good kicker, backdoor straight draws. He's probably feeling pretty comfortable at 175. Gets his backdoor straight draw. A 10 would give him a somewhat nutted hand, but Chris might have given up maybe a one and done. Just ace high, no real equity anymore, and club's brick, so somewhat interesting. I do think this is the board that Chris does not need to bluff at, because if your opponent had missed clubs, ace high beats that some of the time, and sometimes they just give up and say they missed, but just grab a card and flip it.
When you're a 2003 world champion, apparently you just you get away with that. So I got the graphic here again, if I can get my mouse in the right position here. There we go. We can see the stacks right now. Kyle is in for roughly 9, so it looks like he's about even there. Someone else must have reloaded here. Nolan having a great night at 7,800 roughly. Chris started at 3K, Romo at 3K. Must have been an additional add-on here that we missed. I'll have to get confirmation. I'd say from the guys in the truck, but it's really two gentlemen, one out front and one behind me. But we do a great job here with our production crew bringing you these streams.
Yeah,
Some
shout
table
out to
talk
the
here.
dealers who do the extra work. You know, they have to announce everything and handle a different deck and call the action and really put a lot of effort into be able to bring these streams to everyone. So shout out to the dealers, appreciate them. Make sure you tip them at your local casino whenever you're playing Daytona Orange City. They work hard, they deserve it.
Especially those new chips. They look nice when the dealers get to drop those in the toke box there. So we have the Jack 9 versus the Ace Jack. Pretty standard 3-1 here, but that jumps to 85-16, 84-16, ace high. Is going to bet and take it.
You're a player with too much connection, but standard C bet just gets the Jack 9 out of there. And Kyle's not just giving up. He definitely has the ability to turn any hand into a bluff with a raise. Just chooses this one not to be the one to do it with, but I'm sure he'll find some more creative spots going forward as he has previously.
So you mentioned Rampage. Who else could be a good addition to this table real quick if we had a time machine or a transporter?
Time machine. Let's get Stu Unger.
Stu Unger?
Let's go old school.
Let's go old and new. Let's go Stu Unger, Rampage, and Tom Dwan.
There we go.
I saw Tom
Two
Dwan lose $1
Dwans.
million in a hand on a Triton, I believe, stream a couple days ago.
Ooh, I'll have to look that one up.
Ace Queen versus Aces. Couldn't get away pre.
With our time machine, 2 Tom Dwans. Today's Tom Dwan and a 19-year-old Tom Dwan, both playing against each other.
Ooh. Bring Patrick Antonius over here as well.
There you go.
Gus Hansen. Got some. I don't know where Time
Nolan
Machine came
raises
from.
to 75 on the button with an ace queen. Kyle 3-betting on suited connectors, completely reasonable. Kyle's gonna hope for some small cards or some diamonds. He's out of position, less ideal, but he definitely has some ability to win post flop given if his opponent misses. 7-7 Jack is pretty safe for ace queen, but when you're facing a bet, your opponent's kind of repping over pairs and strong ace highs, and when you have an ace, it kind of relegates it closer to over pairs. There's no real flush draw to be betting here, so Kyle's repping a very strong range of over pairs or, I guess, nothing, like 4-3. So he shouldn't really have a 7 all too often with his 3-bet. Maybe that's what Nolan's thinking about, wondering if he can rep a 7, opening on the button, calling a 3-bet. I would say he probably has more 7s in range, but ace queen could just be good some of the time. Could be thinking about that as well. But Kyle does like to lay on pressure. You're wondering if how many bullets of his you're going to have to face if you call here and the turn is a brick. But he does have a backdoor straight draw, so a 10 would be helpful. A king giving him a gutter. Maybe no one wants to just call and turn an ace and have things be easy. But he's just going to let it go.
We've seen him make that similar laydown earlier. He is going to want to see it.
Kyle shows one card. Seems to be his strategy going forward. Shows one, and it's often one that's going to really get your opponent guessing. Top players are able to use their image and use this kind of strategy to really confuse and baffle their opponents. Possibly hope to get called down lighter in the future when they do have it.
So what are your plans in a week and a half, Kyle, for the Kentucky Derby? Do you know where you'll be for the 150th running of the most famous race?
Derby.
Yeah, it's coming. And if you're in the Daytona area, Kyle, this is also an infomercial. We have a concert from 4 to 7:30 p.m. with the band Funk and Country. And I promise you, when I say it fast, it doesn't come out that way. But the band is Funk and Country. We have t-shirt giveaway and all kinds of action that day at Daytona Beach. And you can also make your wagers at Orange City if you're looking for something to do on Derby Day. And if you have someone with a crazy hat, there's a contest for that too. But I wouldn't wear my official hat. Too disrespectful to try that in the Kentucky Derby contest.
Yeah, I think that's not very Kentucky Derby styled. Romo's going to get a walk with a King 10. He's been somewhat quiet, but he's been chipping up nicely and slowly, so that's all it takes.
When I see that 9-4, Kyle, I always think of that 941 Sarasota area code, someplace that you visit occasionally here. I also got some other stuff we could talk about for a quick second here. Memorial Day weekend at Orange City and in Daytona Beach. we're doing over $100,000 in cash high hand promotions and a big tournament that Sunday as well. So if you're looking for something to do May 24th through 27th, you should definitely be in either Orange City or Daytona Beach. All the promotions included together come up to over $100,000, including big-ass high hands. If you've never seen that one, that is probably the most popular poker promotion in the state of Florida, where we give out $5,000 to the biggest hand in the room over a 4-hour period. And if you hit a royal, we call it the Royal Reset. We'll pay you the $5K on the spot and put another $5K prize up. So check out all of the social media I told you about to find out more information on what's happening Memorial Day weekend at either Daytona Beach Poker Room or the Orange City Racing and Card Club. So we do have a raise to 75 with the old dead man's hand, and Kyle's going to put a 3-bet in with 9-7. But Chris wakes up with the real one, and there's a 4-bet, Kyle.
Yeah, it's so hard to give your opponent credit for hands on a 5-handed table. Like, you just, there's been so much action here as well that you just expect Chris Moneymaker to have more of like an ace-x hand or maybe a smaller pocket pair. But this time he's got the goods, and he's got Kyle in somewhat of a dicey spot.
Kyle's either 5-betting or folding?
I think he's calling. He hasn't really given up on his 3-bets. He hasn't really given up when he raises. He often just takes it to the street. But looks like he's just going to say, you know what, this is the first 4-bet. We're going to give my opponent credit. And 9-7 off is just a little too weak to go crazy with. Suited, I think he calls a lot of the time, but offsuit might just be a little
is that a last hand of the night type call, maybe?
Last hand of the night, he's all in. Let's be honest.
The 5-bet shove there with 9 high?
He's running it. I'm going to double or go home.
So we are still 5-handed here. I haven't got note if we had any stragglers come in, but there is some seats open, and we are going for a couple more hours probably. I don't have a definitive answer on that. But we are 5-handed, 3K minimum buy-in, 5-10 no limit game, optional 25 straddle. This is hand 27, it says, and we've seen some big pots. And Nolan right now, sitting as the big winner, says he's up around 4K, if my stats are right.
Yep, and he's going to defend the 5-6 of diamonds. Kyle, no slowing up. He just gets a 3-bet, gets 4-bet, comes right back, opens again. This time ace-5 off. He's on the cutoff. Seems like a good position to be. And he gets kind of a whiff. 5-6 is open-ended. 9 with a little bit of connectivity, but not really. Kyle chooses to check this one back. Not quite the board he's looking for. Turns an 8. 9. Yeah, 9-3 is open-ended as well. We're going to see how Nolan checks. Wants some of his aggressive opponents behind him to do the work for him.
And Kyle now has the gut shot as well. So we have an open-ender for Romo. Kyle's got the gutty, and Nolan with the nuts, or excuse me, second nuts. Or should I say third nuts? Oh, he's got a straight.
Not chase the straight.
So Romo's going to bet his open-ended. Nolan's going to call with the third straight.
Going for a trap here.
Board pairs, but doesn't help Romo. Nolan's going to check. Romo could only win with a bet. 9 high is never going to be good here. Just under 600 in a pot. He did size a pot size bet last time. It looks like we're about to see that. 500 possibly.
Yeah, we get snap called. Because it seems like a very good spot to just check call with 6-5. If your opponent has a 10, he's going to bet himself. The only full houses we're worried about are 10-8 specifically, because 10-7 probably bets flop, and then pocket 7s, pocket 8s probably bet flop. So you're really only worried about one combination of full house. And let's be honest, we have a straight. We're not folding.
I think it's time for a table seat shuffle here. Play a little musical chairs because Nolan definitely got the seat. Oh, they're asking, do you know how to play 4 cards there, Nolan? So he's sitting around 60% VPIP, and we talked about his wins right now. He's up around 3,600. And actually, Tony has a VPIP of 25%. Everyone else is right in that 50% range. But as we've seen, other than a set or two, Tony hasn't had much to work with. And he is surrounded by Kyle and Chris, who are probably going to be playing every hand he's in. So tough spot for Tony. I don't like his position.
Yeah, that's part of it. Sometimes you just get a bad seat draw, and then you have maniacs right behind you, and it forces you to tighten up a bit. Like, I was playing recently where an opponent who was a lot of action said that he had to play less hands because I was on his direct left, and he just getting open and raised too often. So sometimes you have to adjust for.
Was he watching YouTube at the same time and watching official streams or
oh yeah,
videos?
He was learning. What does this mean? Ooh, royal draw. Royal draw. Don't get to see it. Oh, dealer, show him. Show him for one time.
We kill the rabbits here. We don't hunt.
Oh, no rabbits.
Getting nearer to hand 30 here, and that was a big board there, but small pot, and Chris had to try and build it up a little bit in case he did get fortunate at that royal. I don't know if we're paying high hands over in the stream tonight. Probably not. Usually in a 5-10 game, the players opt out of the high hands.
Yeah, probably not eligible, but still fun to hit.
I know dealers that count how many royals they've ever dealt. I wonder if Chris knows how many royals he's ever had or how many he's bet before he got there.
I have had 2 royals, but they were both, one was 1 card and one was in a PLO, so neither were true royals.
Spade royals? Because that's very satisfying if they're spades.
No, it was clubs, and then the PLO one was spades. So, 1 spade.
Jack 9 suited with Chris. He's the raiser. Tony with pocket 7s. Kyle with pocket 5s. They're 3-handed to the flop. All black cards in possession of the players here, which means we should see a red flop. Nope, but we do have the nuts for Chris Moneymaker on the flop, but a set for Tony. This could be a very cold situation here.
Tony's definitely losing a chunk as of right now. He could always have a board pair, but never folding a set ever, never ever. And at a table like this, you feel so comfortable with it. There's been so many bets with absolutely nothing, called down to an ace high. A set is just too strong. And Chris Moneymaker improves to a 6-card straight. I believe we pay a bonus for that.
We have 600 in the pot. Chris is going to bet, looks like 450. I'm seeing what you see at home. That's right.
450?
Yep, and Tony is grabbing calling chips, it looks like. Can still verbalize all in here, but...
No, he's definitely not jamming with a set. At this point, you want your opponent's bluffs to stay in there. You want his 2 pairs to not get scared out. I mean, unless you're just very afraid of a diamond draw and you want to protect against that, there's no reason to raise there. Chris is downgrade to second nuts. Jack 10 or Jack King is the nuts.
We have a call. All in and call.
Snap called. Yeah, you're never folding a set here.
I feel a slow roll.
Pairs.
This is a slow roll.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh. All in pot. Oh. The pain. The absolute pain.
See the pumpkins in front of Chris.
Yep.
Tony, good sport here, he knows. Yeah, I don't know, any kind of slow roll there.
I was about to say you can do it, but you can't do it.
I would not have believed that I had the loser as soon as the head shakes and everything, and the cards are not released. It's just too much. I already know at that point. I'm like, oh no, because
You never feel good till you see their cards in the muck, no matter what.
yeah, I've seen players that genuinely look upset, say they lose, go to muck their hand, and then be like, oh wait, I actually river 2 pair, and it's like, it's so believable. You're like, I think they really just thought they lost and then realized it at the end, because that happens too, and those can be just as painful.
Well, I don't have an answer on Tony's thoughts right now, if he's jumping back in this or not, but we are 4-handed, and it looks like Romo's going to raise the button. Pops it up to 75 on Nolan straddle there. Chris was in a big blind. Queen deuce suited is going to put the 3-bet into 3 1/4.
Hey, he's got some newly acquired chips. He's ready to put them to use. And Jack 10 suited also very playable, extremely playable four-handed, button open, big blind raise. You're the straddler. Like, the positions in that makes that hand very, very reasonable to continue. But Chris Moneymaker running hot. People recognize. Sometimes the player's just running too good. You gotta wait for them to cool off. Also, maybe they don't want to be slow rolled. That could be a factor as well.
I'm getting anxiety by Chris's red stack on the left there. I know this guy obviously doesn't play with Legos the way that chip stack is tilting, but I'll get over it. So we are four-handed currently, and action hasn't slowed down. I can show you the stats here with this pull of a mouse.
All right, I think it's your time to jump in there. You've been training your whole life for this moment.
I didn't bring my rolled change tonight. I didn't know I'd need it.
That's the worst.
Yeah, and Dogecoin didn't work out for me, Kyle.
What? Don't worry, it's coming back.
I need Elon to tweet about it, and then I'll probably have a little shift in value there.
Yeah, Kyle's going to open the ace-3 a lot easier. The shorter we get, the wider the opens can be, because it's every time you open a hand, it's going to be cut off or button or better. And that makes it a lot easier. You're not under the gun where you need a specific tight range of hands to play. Your cutoff range is going to be nearly every hand played. So you get to play more hands, get to play a little looser. A lot less likely you're going to run into some monsters under the bed. And Kyle gets to just be aggressive and get a ace-high bluff through, and shows the 3. He's definitely enjoying showing weaker cards to his opponents, challenging them to fight back, to calm down.
Kyle, this Moneymaker event we have does have a lot of registration each day. The players do get a chance to buy in pretty late. What do you feel in the tournament you recently cashed? Are you a late reg player? Do you like to be there at the beginning?
Be there right on time. That is me. For a few reasons. One, I believe my edge is, if I had any edge, we'll start there. If I had any edge, it would be 100 to 60 to 100 big blinds deep. It's not 20 to 10 big blinds deep. I play cash primarily, so I like to be a little bit deeper and, kind of have a 3-bet folding range, have a 4-betting range, have all the ranges kind of mapped out. And I don't think that just all in or fold is where I have the most edge. And the other part with that is I want to be at the table right at start, because I want to take every ounce of information that's available. Anything I can learn from my opponents from the first hand dealt, I want to have it. I don't want to come in, level 3, and player A and player B have been fighting back and forth all day, and now it's bet raise, and you have a hand, and you're just like, oh, well, versus a bet raise, I probably have to fold, instead of, no, these guys are just after each other, and my hand is too good against that kind of dynamic. So I go for the information. I go for the deeper availability. But I do understand that. For
you as a cash game player mainly, early in the tournament where they have the deeper stacks is closer to cash play for you, probably being, 200 blinds deep at the beginning of a tournament. That's definitely where you're going to want to be splashing around, where when you get down to 20 big blinds, a lot of decisions are made before you even look at your cards.
Yep, absolutely. And I've played a few tournaments. There's been some where by the end of late registration, I have 5x starting stack. If I was late regging, I would have 1 starting stack, and that makes it a lot harder. I'd rather give myself the opportunity to build my chips and have an easier time in the middle stages.
So Roma was our pre-flop raiser here, and he check called 2 streets. And he's going to look Kyle up here on the river with ace high, and Kyle's going to show the 6s, so Kyle takes that one down. And
Kyle's history of showing absolute air, I think, added to this. Some players will just get fed up with him showing like 1 bad card, and they just want to see both of them. They think that he's over bluffing, which maybe he is, maybe he isn't, but sometimes you just got to pay to see.
On the dealer change here, it looks like Tony's reloaded. He's back in seat 1, and We do welcome you to the stream if you're just joining. My name is Ryan Unger. I'm a manager at the Orange City Racing and Card Club, and I'm joined by the official himself, Kyle Fischel, poker content creator and Hendon Mob climber.
Oh yeah, I'm in the top like 400,000 of poker players in the world right now.
Goals, Kyle. So we're here for the Moneymaker Tour. We always do a cash game stream when Chris is here. He loves to splash around. We are in the midst of day 1A of the 300K guarantee Moneymaker main event. You can also get in flights on Friday and Saturday. If you bag and make it to day 2, good for you. And if you find your way into day 3 on Monday, you could be on a live stream hosted by myself and Tom Wheaton of Faded Spade. We'll see how that goes. Last year's winner took down, I believe, 100K. So always a good event. Big turnout. We do crush guarantees at the Daytona Beach Racing and Card Club. So we are four-handed here in a 10-tray ace flop with 2 hearts, and we do have a player with an ace and a player with a tray, and that's about it.
Yeah,
Nolan in
if you're
position.
Nolan here, you can go either way. You can bet small, you can bet big. Betting small is good because you're getting the flush draws are never folding, and your ace really is not going to be the best ace when called by, you know, a player with top pair any other time. Your kicker is a significant problem, but if we just bet small and we take it down, we like that outcome. But he's going to get some resistance by a pair of 3s. Not particularly a bad turn card for Nolan. And I know a lot of people might disagree with that, but you're not really expecting your opponent to ever have Queen Jack. Maybe a little bit. King Jack sometimes, but realistically, you think your opponent has like a flush draw or a random 10, and besides Queen 10 specifically, that doesn't change. Oh, but he gets a super disguised 2-pair. Romo just hits the ginnest of cards, and it's not a heart. Oh, he can go for so much pure value here with his 2-pair, getting any ace, any queen to pay him off. And he goes, looks like big with it. 600, 500. Yeah, nearly pot-sized bet with 2-pair. And now you have an ace and you're just in a gross spot.
And we both think that Nolan pays it off.
I think he absolutely pays it off. Hearts missed. Jack 9 missed. Yeah, you're just paying there. And 2 pairs are better than 1 pair.
Good hand.
Yep, they haven't reinvented the hand rankings.
He's absolutely paying there additionally because sometimes you have to adjust. An opponent who's up a lot of money, I believe, is more likely to call.
Oh, we got the big blind count, my favorite.
That is 900 big blinds deep.
That's my favorite. We always change it from cash to tournament. The VPIP in the cash games, the amount of blinds in the tournament is what we're looking for there. And the VPIP has pretty much stayed the same. All the players, roughly 50, 60%. Tony was gone for a little bit. He's less.
Yeah, in a 3-blind game, I believe you can get your VPIP up a lot easier. Like, if there ever is a limp to the big blind, you should limp like 100% of the time just for the VPIP alone if you're playing on a stream and, like, that stat matters. But other times, you don't really need to. But you have to take advantage of spots to get your VPIP up when you're playing on a live stream. Here, you know, these players don't need an excuse to get in there. They're all 50, 60%. But anyone who, you know, is thinking about their first live stream but don't want to appear too tight, that's just a strategy you can use to just up the stat a little bit.
Kyle slowed down a little bit, and as I'm about to start saying that, I see Chris wakes up with pocket ones, as I say. He had queens not too long ago, which was Tony's
the deck
demise.
is cooperating. Make a straight, make queens, make aces, and you're versing the guy with the biggest stack. You don't really want to get in the habit of opening and just folding to 3 bets because this isn't like a normal cash game. In a normal cash game, I'd say, yeah, you should fold 7-5 to a 3-bet, but we're at a table where these guys can 3-bet anything. It most certainly does not have to be aces. But a board with very little equity for Nolan. Backdoor flush draw. But besides that, pretty much nothing. And your opponent could just fire at will because he's going to have the best queens in range. I don't really think Nolan's going to continue here. I think it's a little too loose. You have position, but your opponent has given you no evidence that he's going to stop betting on any turn card. But sometimes if you get a read on an opponent where they bet flop and they just check it down, some players are just one and done C bets. You can peel a lot liberally on the flop, but I would not classify Chris Moneymaker as that type of player. So this is probably just a chuckle. I put some money in with 7-5 and missed, and I'd probably just let it go. And Nolan will agree.
Here, pick one. Look at a 1. There it is. You want to see the other one? Literally, it's a 1.
I had an ace. And another ace.
Good on Romo for enjoying his pizza flatbread for the last dozen or so hands. I think I would have finished that quite a while ago. Kyle looks like he may need a pick-me-up or a snack. I see Nolan's got the Red Bull behind him. Kyle, I might have to do an energy drink run for my boys here.
Energy drink run.
Yeah, I'm sipping on my Celsius. I don't know what these guys need, but we definitely can find them something here. I'm going to get Kyle out of the muck here. So 9-7. Lets it go. Kyle. Oh, there he goes. Oh, geez, Kyle. Here we go. Tens and queens.
Runs right into queens.
On the button end of the small blind, and we still haven't seen what Chris has in the big and Nolan in the straddle. But Tony's definitely looking for a 3-bet. Find a size here off 75, 2 1/4 maybe. Just go straight 3x.
Yeah, most likely, maybe 300 because some of them would go into that. Looks like 250.
We get rid of a king
for
tray.
Kyle, he's just shown so much action previously. Like compared to some of the other hands he plays, this is just the easiest call. Even 4-bet at some frequency. The only downside to that is that Tony's been probably the tightest guy at the table, and you typically don't want to 4-bet or 3-bet that player specifically. So I'm kind of choosing just call, going for a set mine. Gross board for 10s, not the best for queens either. 1 overcard for the queens, 2 for the 10s. They get to check. Kyle has the door opened up for him if he's going to go for some stealing shenanigans.
And he can easily have king jack here. Ace king, he may have put the 4-bet in.
He could have queen. He could have king jack. He could have pocket 8s. His bluffs would be like queen 10, 10 9, and now Kyle has a very interesting spot. He blocks the nuts. The 10 of diamonds is very specific, but he's gonna check. Hope his opponent had an ace queen, maybe a random ace high type hand. Hoping he doesn't see an overpair, and he does see a pair higher than 10s. Unlucky for Kyle on that one. But as played, your opponent could easily just have a random ace that does not include a pair, and 10s could just be good. So you don't really have to bluff there, and value betting just seems also kind of dicey because if you value bet and you bet small trying to get called by like ace highs and weak pairs, well, the jack is in there, and the jack's going to pay, and then it's going to be better than you, and that's not really what you're looking for. 10s didn't work for Kyle. 3 deuce also not going to be working.
Sad to see a 7-4 go in the muck. I think I'd be in that one, but there's a reason I'm commentating. So we are going to see a
double down
call.
with that hand.
No, well,
Ooh.
I did see a 10-4-7 flop earlier, which is a 21.
Romo just checks king queen offsuit. He retains the best hand, but it's getting dicier for the king queen. Not anymore. He feels very confident with his hand. Romo chooses to try to rep the king. Unfortunately, his opponent does indeed have it. It's easier to have it than rep it, but still live for a 7. And he gets a ace of diamonds.
Very small pot to try and steal, but I feel like Nolan may be able to pick this one up if he wanted. But
yeah, I particularly don't like going for bluff attempts on the small pots.
what would you tell me earlier? You don't like to bet 300 to win 90?
Yeah, it's a bad thing to do. You don't want to, because the bad thing about trying to bluff small pots is that when you're called, your image gets really bad, and it looks like you're going to start getting called down a lot more often, which you can use to your advantage, but I think you want to have the option of bluffing and having a lot of chance of it getting through in the big pots where, like, you have a massive draw, you bet 2 streets and it misses, but you think your opponent just has a single pair and you got to go for it on the river. I think it's better to have an image where you can get those type of hands through than get an image of a bluffer from constantly getting called in small spots, and then the big spot comes and you're kind of handcuffed. You can't bluff because you're just going to get called a lot of the time.
Chris is going to raise it up on the button here with pocket fives. Go ahead, make it 100. It is a straddle out there, so that's a 4x.
Yeah.
Kyle
First
with the
4X
smooth
we've
call. Say it again.
Yeah, first time we've seen a 4x. Pretty much everyone else has just done 3x to 75. Kyle has a jack 3. Not giving up. No quitting him. Fortunately, that flop just did not cooperate as much as he would like it to.
Well, our bigger hands have been kind of cold deck situations here, short-handed. We have some big pots, but you've been hand versus hand here. You just have a pair of fives with 2 overs out there against jack nothing. Not really going to get much action.
Chris lets him see 1, and he chooses the 5 of clubs, which is kind of funny.
Spicy card there.
Yeah, he could have a flush draw, but nope, he had a pair on this one.
Thinking about this game being 5-handed, on Monday, if you're down to 5, that means you've made some pretty big money on a 1,500 buy-in. So people watching the stream going 5-handed, yep, if it was a tournament, you'd be in a really good spot right now.
He just waiting to ladder, hoping other people bust.
I'm thinking about a T-shirt, Kyle, now that's stuck in my head. Don't bet 300 to win 90. I feel like that could be maybe that could be an official slogan. We have a T-shirt. Why would you bet 300 to win 90? Stay off my lawn.
It could be that one. I've also seen I've seen a 3-way where one player's all in, and I've seen someone jam a dry side pot with like jack high, and then they get the player out, but you still just have jack high.
It's the most infuriating thing, like in a sit and go where you're getting close to a bubble or an ICM and somebody jams a dry side pot to bluff the best hand out on a side pot. It's frustrating as all can be.
Yeah, and they still don't beat the all-in player. And I'm just like, you're risking all of it to win almost nothing.
You're giving protection for no reason. It actually hurts you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if I'm nutted, I'm calling, and you're just all in with nothing. Kyle is not going to play the Queen 4, but Ace Jack feels pretty good. Blind on blind. Chris isn't gonna give Tony any chance to get back some of that money from the straight versus set hand.
As Tom Wheaton would say, he showed the prettiest card in the deck with that Ace of Spades.
It is the prettiest card in the deck.
If you're first time joining us on Daytona Poker Live, please share this and let your friends and poker bros know that we are on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook. Also catch us on IG, I guess the kids say. We have a brand new account for Daytona Beach and Orange City on Instagram. Also on X and Facebook. And we have websites where you can get all your information. Big link to the Moneymaker Tour on DaytonaBeachPoker.com, where you can get information on the final events of the weekend, including flights B and C of the 1500 main and the satellites to still get in. Plus that event number 12, your last chance to get a trophy. $500 buy-in, 20K guarantee, which will be noon on Sunday. I might be stopping by Kyle on Sunday to watch these players play towards the final table, get my notes for the stream, but should be excitement in the air. We'll see.
It really is. The atmosphere around a deep run tournament, it really gets very serious, gets very exciting, especially with such a big prize pool. And I'm happy to announce that I am the 9th follower of Orange City Instagram. So
I was number 8, so hey, we're in order here.
Yeah, if you want to be top 10, you have to follow it right now.
Now's your chance. You say, I was there.
Yeah.
I was there when it launched.
Right when it started.
We're filming all kinds of great content now to go live with pretty big announcements, nonstop content. Really looking for a May launch where you will find all kinds of good videos, clips, big results from tournaments and cash games and big payouts on our table games. Pretty exciting stuff to come on our Instagram. So we have a winner here, aces and nines. Pretty good. So you're talking about playing some tournaments and deep stack stuff. I mean, you have two of the hardest working tournament people in the state of Florida right now in Daytona Beach. You see Tony at the table, and then our tournament director, Byron Rodriguez, doing marathon days to get us through this Moneymaker event. You can't find better structures anywhere in Florida. That's a guarantee.
Yeah,
We are definitely going to crush this big 300K guarantee coming up here as well. So you might as well come down and get yourself a chance to win for $186. Get you a 1,500 seat in a deep stack tournament where you have a chance to play with 2003 world champion Chris Moneymaker. And not going to call him out, but I saw plenty of notables in the field today. There's quite a group of players that make their way up here to Daytona to play these events. And last year's champion was in the field today. Don't want to jinx it. Don't know if he's bagging right now, but
oh boy,
big things to come this weekend.
Yeah, I definitely need to come up there for a tournament series. Once you go deep in one, you get the bug, and then you become a tournament player, and then you never look back. Never play cashing it. Tony gets a nice little steal with Queen 7 of diamonds. So it is kind of important to get steals here and there. You don't want to just be blind down on a free blind game. You don't have to do it like often, but just quietly, slowly, once in a while is kind of what you're looking for there.
I just can't figure out. Romo's nursed this pizza for 20-something hands now. And between that and the way Chris was stacking his chips earlier, I was having anxiety, but we're good. We're good. Looks like, go ahead.
So he did have fork in mouth, so he is working on it. He's got a very high-level technique there.
I mean, he's watched some Sam Farha videos. He can't find a cigarette, so you find a spork or a nice fork, get it done.
Yep.
Spork is less dangerous in that situation.
Kyle's going for the little squeeze play. He gets 2 limps. He says, I'm going to play in position, and I can just win $50 with a decent raise here. So let's see if you guys want to play when I have 8-6 offsuit and position. And he gets two folds. So those kind of steals add up. Very good play by Kyle.
So we have 59 viewers, it says, across our streaming channels right now. If half of you went to Instagram right now, you could be number 10, 11, 12. That'd be fantastic. You might get a hello world from Kyle if we can get a short video from him. Maybe we'll put you on Instagram. It could be one of the OG videos there.
Hello, world.
There you go.
I'm coming to you from Orange City, the best card room in Florida. The best Instagram on the internet.
At least the one now with 10 followers. I bet you it's growing, so we're talking about it. But you wait till May when that bad boy's cranking. Put some content out. Got a 10-9 suited. The birthday hand, if you're September 10th birthday, I know a guy. And that's a raise to 100. Romo with the ace-queen. Looking at a 3-bet, I assume. And 3 1/4 maybe, something weird. 350.
Yep, chooses a good size to raise the ace-queen. He's going to be out of position. Chris Moneymaker hasn't really given up on any of these hands. He's also battled pretty hard for these pots, so
Got to see a flop with the 10-9 suited.
going to be a difficult trek for Romo if he doesn't connect, and he does connect. So now it seems to be much easier. Just flopping top pair, good kicker, dry board. I feel like there's no wrong answers to this flop.
I think a check here is best, but that's my opinion. That's why I'm sitting here. He is going to bet.
He goes big with it, over 2/3.
Yep. Chris is not going to chase.
Whatever equity he has.
Yeah.
Seems reasonable. Worst aces are going to pay you. If we get folds, we made $385. That's fine. We take 3-bet pots. You don't need to be super greedy and pick the best or the most optimal line for total runouts. Winning a hand is winning a hand.
Forget about the blind counts in the middle, but assume that everyone is in for 3K. Tony does have a rebuy, and Kyle's in for around 9. Looks like Nolan would still be the big winner. for
Yep,
hand
Nolan.
44.
Nolan's done it relatively quietly, too. Just kind of wins a bunch of medium-sized pots, chips up, folds when he doesn't have the best hand, gets a few $500 river bets called. Very good poker by that player. And we got Tony with a king 10 from the big blind, blind on blind. Chris not going anywhere. He's got the 8-7 offsuit. Well, kings are good. See how Tony wants to play this. He starts with a check. I do like checking top pair weak kickers at some frequency. Moneymaker just has a gutter, and now we're going to charge him to try to realize that gutter. $100 will be the bet. But we're not going to go for it. We'll fight another day. Kind player lets him pick a card. He picks the 10. Max Payne. Now Chris will never know if he was good or not, or would have been good.
So the players are chatting a little bit about the NFL draft. That did go off this evening, 8 p.m. I guess. I don't know. My team wasn't so bad. We don't get to pick this early. So if you're watching the draft now and your team wasn't too good.
Yeah, no more hip tackling. That's a adventurous rule.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how the referees catch up with that. But they also have the kickoff rule changing once again. I forget. Every year they have something.
I like the kickoff change rule. I think they should have done it a while ago because it's just better this way. The teams start 10 yards apart, and they can't move until the fielder catches the ball. So, in one sense, there will be a kickoff every time because they're so far back, you will catch it. And because they're only 10 yards apart, no one's getting just murdered out there.
I forget how the onside kick part would work in that, but I'm not a Cowboys fan, so I'm never really behind having to worry about that.
I'm not sure either. I didn't even think about that. Guess you're never allowed to fake onsides it anymore.
Yep. So 8, queen, 7, all spades. We do have 2 mini flush draws and a 4 high, and that plays like it should.
Up.
Yep.
Chip up slowly. As a gutter, has a spade blocker / actual flush draw. Just gets everyone to fold. Easy game.
So 5 players in our cash stream. Players in town to play the Moneymaker main event. 1,500 buy-in, 300K guarantee. Plenty of satellites left. If you want to take a shot for $186, where's that number come from? Well, if you don't know, Chris Moneymaker satellited into his main event for $86. Turned it into $2.5 million. Back in 2003, was the main event champion.
Seems like a pretty good ROI.
For $86, can't go wrong.
Here we see both players with a suited king. Hearts will get the advantage on this one.
The cards have definitely not been going Kyle's way the last few orbits here. But Chris is just going to call. Go ahead.
Yeah, he started out with a good flush draw where he got a very deep stack, but now both players pick up open-ended. See if Kyle wants to try to bluff at this. Turn being a queen higher than Jack and 10. There are some spots where you get to 2-barrel here with the hopes of getting the weaker pairs to fold. And Kyle may be thinking that as well as he puts in the second barrel.
They don't really have the chop outs listed correctly, but there is a chop there with just a non-heart ace. Unless I'm incorrect.
Board pair as well as a chop.
Yeah, so those outs up there, there's a lot of outs. Not necessarily correct in this case, but it is a 5, and the 7 will play.
Actually plays. That is so gross.
Just under $900 in the pot here, and that's a big bet. That looks like $1,500 to a $900 pot.
Kyle's gonna go for it. Does 11.25.
Oh, 11. Those are greens, huh?
And he gets the best hand to fold technically, but he did. And he showed. I believe he showed a 3. What a boss.
And Chris shows him a 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems fair.
Yeah. Kyle hasn't acknowledged the 1, but hey. Got a world champion telling you how many rings he has. Or World Series bracelets, I guess.
Even though Kyle shows the 3, like, it's not impossible that he just has ace-3 and has the best hand. It's not impossible he has any pair that just beats the king anyway. So, and because he looked at both cards and then picked the 3, usually when people do that, they pick the worst one, the confusing one. Because let's say he did have queen 3 suited, which he could have, then, you know, you wouldn't want to show the queen if you're trying to tilt your opponent. So, showing the 3 doesn't even mean that he didn't have the best hand, but I'd say he was setting up for this triple barrel for a while, and it works out. It does help that your opponent only had king high, but I believe that river bet gets a jack and a 10 to fold at least some of the time. Maybe not always, but sometimes you get a pair to fold there too. And that's why we put that third barrel in there.
So we're 4-handed to the flop here. We had 6s, ace-9, 10-7, and Roma with the king-jack is the best hand. And we're going to check through. Yep, $300 pot, and he's going to turn trips, but not much for anyone else. You see the equities there. I mean, it's pretty much all but locked up here. Kyle can hit maybe just a 9, and Chris can hit a 6. Otherwise, that's it. Looks like we have a bet by Chris with jacks and 6s. Romo does have to look at Tony and Kyle behind, but
he puts in a raise.
Yeah, 700. Just to click it up from 3 to 7. Pot now at 1,300, and Kyle does have a gutter, but not the equity he wants. Tony's going to get out. So now Chris, 400 to call in the 1,300 with the under pair.
Very small raise.
Yep. And the
Chris
river.
Chris is left with 6 high, which might entice him to turn his hand into a bluff, but
Bad
when you're
timing.
min raised and then the board comes out like this, the times your opponent has a jack, he's just absolutely never, ever, ever folding. So it seems like a pretty bad spot to try to bluff your opponent.
And Romo can't get a call no matter what he bets here. It's either going to be a raise or a fold. He does bet 400, which is a call me bet.
That is so high level. It like entices him to try to put in the raise. It makes it so.
Does it look like a blocker?
Yeah, it looks
Blocking
like
bet?
I have aces or kings or tens or just a pocket pair, and I didn't like that river. It really does. It looks weak, and I think that's why Chris took so long. Is you just feel it, you want to so long. And I think
Such a
the king is
savvy
doing
bet. But he does show, I don't know if he shows the king or the jack there, but he did show one of them.
I think the table's doing a show one game because I think everyone's been showing one, and the opponent gets to pick, which is a fun dynamic. We like it.
Well,
Dig
if
it.
they don't show it, Chris will just grab one. So, world champion privilege.
I'm so happy the Magic are winning. Maybe my
But,
tickets for Saturday to hold their value.
Yeah, Chris took his time on that one. He was definitely he's not thinking call. He's having some plans go through his head, but chose not to.
Got the 10-9 suited again. And he's under the gun. Tony, it is the 25 straddle. And Chris is going to 3-bet to something. I heard a splash. Looks like 100. 4X again. And Nolan with an ace-5. I know the tournament players really like the ace-5 suited. And the cash game, ace-5 on the button there. Facing an open.
You could technically go either way with it. Chris has been playing relatively loose. It's a splashy game. This isn't like a super tight table where ace-5 is just always in bad shape when it's in there. In this spot, it's actually relatively good shape. But it looks like Tony's gonna put a move on. Looks like he chose to turn the ace-4 into a 3-bet bluff to 500.
Big squeeze from the straddle.
Unfortunately, he's going against Chris Moneymaker, who does not give up. They don't raise to fold the 3-bets.
I'm waiting for one of those Teddy KGB, I pay you with your money lines here.
Oh boy. Well, we have seen some slow rolling, some fun little dynamics between these two players. See if it plays a part into it. Chris is never folding when he gets a flush draw and a backdoor straight draw.
Even with Tony with ace high, Chris does have the equity lead here with all those flush outs and the live 10-9 here. Backdoor straight possibilities, I guess you could say. But Tony's going to put it all in, 2,700 to win 1,000 or 1,100.
Chris just calls without a whole lot of thought. And they're going to run it one time. 6.6K pot. Nearly a 50-50. Let's see a run out.
Clean card for Tony.
Deuce is not what you want to see for Chris. And he binks a 10 and just wins.
So we are going to get a second turn in river here.
You get a 10 both times? Is that two? Nope, that's the old one. Looks like 10-6 from a distance.
Yeah, the tracker doesn't really like the double board there.
I thought he was slow on you. No, I knew he was serious. He was so sad.
I think that's why we're not doing double board bomb pots on this. The card reader doesn't really like that second set of cards there, but it does look like we have a chop there, which means they're going to each take 550, which is their 5, and I think Nolan had 100 in there if I'm not mistaken. So not the worst scenario. If you're Tony and you see that first run out, you'll take a $50 profit when the second board comes.
Just somewhat impressive. Tony chooses just turn an ace-4 off into a 3-bet bluff and just go with it. Says, I'm all in. I have aces or kings or ace-king suited, which all are reasonable jams there. If you're going for max protection, if you feel like Chris Moneymaker has a very big edge post-streets in position, not really knowing how to navigate certain turns and rivers, we can just put it in now. No decision making. Maybe pocket sevens fold to just a rip. We just win. We like that.
The Moneymaker Tour this time in Daytona, Kyle, did offer 12 trophy events, 10 of which have been awarded. For the first time, we actually added some new events in. We had a ladies tournament. We also had a 5-card Omaha High tournament, a limit Omaha 8 tournament, and we had a mystery bounty tournament, which turned out amazing. There was two $15,000 mystery bounties available, and the players that made day 2, anyone you knocked out, you got to draw and pull in the bounty. Pretty big event. I know there was a little bit of an education about what a mystery bounty was, and now that the players have seen it, and if you checked it out on any of the social media spots where you can catch our content, seeing the 15K pulled the first time was great. One of the regulars in the area, Shonda, grabbed one of those. She also, I believe, was runner-up in the ladies trophy event. I believe the next time a mystery bounty tournament is done at Daytona and Orange City, people are going to come out in droves for a chance to put your hand in the mystery chest there and pull out whatever the number is. But 15K, pretty solid on a $500 buy-in. Great turnout for that event. Crushed the guarantee, and a lot of players had fun. I think interesting, 3-handed at the final table. One player had 9 bounties. One player had 0 bounties. Another player had 8 or 9 bounties when it was all said and done. 0 bounties laddered up to second place.
Never knocks someone out, but doesn't get knocked out.
But you tell them, hey,
tournaments.
You're going to play a $500 buy-in mystery bounty. You're not going to pull a bounty, but we'll give you around 20K for second place. Sign me up.
I'd be happy to sign up for a mystery bounty. Excited for the next one.
Absolutely. We ran satellites into those as well. So when you see that Moneymaker Tour or any big event announced for Orange City or Daytona Beach, definitely make the drive over. Great structures. Byron Rodriguez works really hard to give the best value in the state of Florida, and it shows by the turnout and the guarantees. Just crushed. And I expect the same for our 300K guarantee. That's happening as we speak. I believe we had 81 runners today. I don't want to sell us short. And then there's 2 more flights to play for $300,000 current prize pool. Going to be huge, as they say. So we're 3-handed here, Kyle, and we have a 4 bets. I'll let you catch us up.
Yeah, unfortunately, Kyle has 3-bet folded to a 4-bet in the past. So, looks like this time's going to be the one where he chooses to defend. Thinks Chris can't be 4-betting with strong hands all too often. Because Chris was the player that 4-bet him when he had queens previously. Kyle's going to defend the queen 5 suited.
That's a pretty pumpkin in play there.
Unfortunately, Kyle flops basically dead. Chris pairs his domination card, if you refer to it that way. The Jack pairing makes Kyle only win with running 5s, which is very, very unlikely. He does have he could chop with a 10-9 run out, but that's also extremely unlikely, so he's dead to running cards. Hate to see it when you call a 4-bet and you just whiff very, very hard. And then Chris just continue betting. He flops top pair. He is against one of the deepest players at the table, so we have seen some crazy moves. Maybe Kyle just rips and doesn't believe Chris has a hand here. But the last time Chris was ripped into, he just called with a flush draw, and he wasn't willing to let it go, so that could also be playing through his head. I do think they have a dynamic playing where they're showing a card every time. I think that's kind of an established rule, and that time it looked like Chris showed the queen, which somewhat upsetting if you're Kyle, because some queens you're beating, almost none of them actually, but...
Well, the players have been pretty game tonight, Kyle, playing 5-handed. It's a pleasure to watch good poker, and sometimes you get the wrong dynamic at a table, even 8 or 9-handed. You get a couple players just not really pushing chips around much. But they've been pretty game tonight, adding that dynamic of showing the cards, kept a little friendly even with the big betting. So I like that dynamic. It does keep the game somewhat friendly. You don't want anyone to shut down and not really be involved here. We need everyone splashing to keep it fun for us and the viewers at home. All 60 of you gutting it out with us. We'd love for you to tell a friend or an enemy that we're on. Any frenemy joining right now, we'll build our numbers up, and you can go on our IG. I don't know where we're at, but I'm sure there's spots available if you want to be one of the top 20 followers on Instagram.
Let's see.
You can be an OG. We got the 7-8 deuce flop, rainbow, with the ace, queen, and king 10 in play, and it looks like the king 10 is going to bet in position. Chris does check call.
Chris Moneymaker chose to mix it up and just call with ace queen. You don't want to just 3-bet every hand that you play. You do want to have some stronger just calls. He chooses the ace queen here and gets a board that's kind of neutral. Both players have equal amount of 7s and 8s and 9s and all kind of middling cards, but he's just going to go relatively passive post flop, and Chris just gonna win with ace high. Kind of having the whole table's number so far.
See the cards being switched out here.
Yeah, get this lame deck out. We want a better deck.
Sometimes you got to get that wash, a little juju on the cards there. 5-handed here in a cash game, 5-10 no limit, $25 straddle. Taking place in Daytona Beach, the Daytona Beach Racing and Card Club, where we're hosting the Moneymaker Tour through this Monday, where we will have a live stream final table. New graphics, exciting announcements. Please join us this coming Monday. Check social media for the start time.
Oh, I'm excited to see the graphics.
Oh, they're going to be fantastic. Maybe the greatest graphics. Definitely the best graphics. We are going to have a button raise. Chris does like that 4X when the 25 straddle's out there.
Yeah,
5
Chris picking up
tray.
some premiums in the later stages of this cash game. Got some suited aces, some suited queens, suited kings, and ace jack suited on the button is very premium. Kyle defends with 6-5 and gets another just whiff flop, and kind of see on his face is it's just a very whiffed board where there's not a whole lot you can do.
He made my favorite move. Heads up, he just folded in turn.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just happens. Kyle has not been fortunate lately.
Started hot with his flush hand, but been a little bit less than optimal these last 30, 45 minutes.
Well, that wash didn't do it. We'll see what happens on the next hand here. We are entering hand 52. And the players are laughing. I was going to do the energy drink. I can't talk. Energy drink run, but it seems like they're doing good without my help. Maybe I need it. I'm going to sip a Celsius here, Kyle.
Chris finds himself with another ace-jack. Worked out last time.
He keeps him.
Nolan has the 6-5. He's not going to play him.
Now is Nolan or Tony in last place? Tony's trying
7-5. Can't be expected to call every bet 7-5 off is pretty bad in the grand scheme of things. 9-5 suited though can flop a gutter. Gutter versus ace jack. Chris has been c-betting at a high frequency. Maybe we peel one and hope. Seems to be Tony's idea.
6-ball for the win. It's going to be king of hearts. Double suited the board here. Doesn't change anything for Tony. Chris is going to continue here. 300 into a $400 pot.
King is better for Chris's range. He would obviously c-bet if he had ace-king, so when a king comes, it's pretty easy to put in the second barrel. His opponent gets to pick one, and he looked like he picked the face card, so must have been the jack.
I mean, 3K min is 3K max, like 3K max.
Heard the players a minute ago talking about the VPIP. Tony around 30, Nolan and Romo right around the 40 range, and Kyle and Moneymaker, like you think, are right around 60%. Like you said, it is five-handed, and the third blind's been in play, so it is skewed a little bit.
Yeah, they're here to battle. They're not here to wait for premiums. Not like they're nothing stopping them from getting in with suited gappers, unsuited gappers, small pairs, big pairs. Nolan has a ace-queen offsuit, and he's going to go 3x. Chris being the only one doing the 4x to 100, everyone else doing kind of a standard 3x. We fold it around to Chris, who wakes up with
The man that plays no card.
nothing, looks like.
It adds up
show
to
your
10.
cards-
I'm sure that
Not good.
When you show your cards to your opponent, it's a bad strategy. You should not continue playing the hand if you choose to show them your hand.
they gotta be above the 10.
Big advantage for your opponent at that point.
While we have one quick second here, let's mention the team that's bringing this stream to you tonight. You do have your dealers Neil and John. Our back-of-the-house team, you have Jonathan on cameras and Thomas on the action tracker helping us out. Our production and IT team, Dylan and John, helping bring this to you. Do want to thank Poker Room Manager Joe La Rosa, Tournament Director Byron Rodriguez, and also our Operations Manager Mike Stringer and General Manager Fred Guzman, who will be showing a special video and interview with Fred with a big announcement this Monday on the stream. So along with the graphics, you get a chat with Fred. So good stuff to look forward to. Big announcements coming. So we're hoping everyone does tune in Monday to be part of that, and also follow us on IG because Kyle and I are trying to build it.
It's only 10 right now, so got some work to do.
Well, we have 5 players, and all of them are volunteering to put chips into this pot, including a 4 deuce, which I'm going to root for, even though I don't normally root. Let's see what we get. We do pair.
Very good odds, and he flops. Is that the best hand? 4 deuce is the best hand. Third pair, 4 opponents. How are we going to navigate this one?
Another clean card for him. We do have 2 hearts now. Tony with 4 flush. He has king 9 of hearts. Chris with just king 8. Romo's sitting with the ace high, and Kyle has a king 10 off. Nolan is going to bet the best hand.
We have to protect our third pair.
I hope if they ask to see a card, the deuce gets shown. But Kyle's going to keep him honest here. 1 1/4 is the bet. Tony with the 4 hearts on a paired board. There was some kind of Darth Vader or Sith joke there for Moneymaker, and he put the hood on. We'll have to go back to that. So we are three-handed now to the river, and it pairs the board counterfeiting Nolan, but he did take the lead, Kyle.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that. He has to bet now because if a queen comes, he's counterfeited. I was gonna say that word for word. And now with just 2 chops with king high?
Yeah.
That's
Nolan
a
built
fun
the pot with the best hand and got the counterfeit action there.
I was calling.
Yeah, seeing the 2 hands, he's gonna be so mad he didn't throw the bet in there, try to get 2 king highs out of there.
There's no way, I don't think either of them can make a call there, even if he only bets $200 on the river there.
No, just king, stuff nothing.
Yeah, it's pretty unlikely. With their exact hands, they don't block anything. They don't. Tony blocks the flush draw that you wish your opponent's bluffing with, so it's hard to call. And then king highs are just good sometimes. Sometimes you just gotta remember the showdown value.
So Kyle, we talked about 100K being the total amount of promotional high hand money being paid out Memorial Day weekend between Daytona Beach and Orange City. It's been a while for a MUG or a meetup game with Dr. Fischel. I'm not going to put you to the spot, but definitely save a seat for you on Saturday when we're doing $1,000 high hands every 20 minutes.
Those are the days I like to schedule it. Would love
Yeah.
to come in with,
Been a minute.
small buy-in and just bink a high hand.
Yep. Memorial Day weekend, $100,000 in high hand money being paid out Friday through Monday, including our Saturday $3,000 power hours. We do $1,000 every 20 minutes. And then, like I said earlier, we have big ass high hands, best promotion and best named promotion in the state of Florida, where we do $5,000 3 different times that day for the best hand over a 4-hour period. If you get a royal, just get the 5K on the spot. Here we go, heads up. Got a mystery hand for Nolan, my favorite. Queen Jack for Moneymaker. Nolan was in position on the big blind. And bingo, bongo, bango. We got the nuts.
Yeah, no one's shocked that we just flop straights. We will not know what Nolan has. It looks like a very folding motion and pulls the card protectors out. A little bit of talking, and we're just going to let our hand go. And we're going to get to see one, and that's going to, no matter which one you see, it's going to make you wonder.
Could have been a cold deck there. You know, Nolan could have had a 7 or some kind of a combination. Maybe even ace-7 of clubs would have been disgusting. There's no way he's folding that there, though. That would have been too big.
We don't want those coolers out there.
We don't want to fold nut flush draws open-ended.
We're not going for the maximum pains. No, we're never folding that, but
This guy David he plays in Melbourne.
just I don't think it was gonna hit. I feel this trade was gonna hold there.
So for your 6th place finish recently down south, did you get a trophy, Kyle?
No, we get a trophy if you're first place.
Did you make your own at home, arts and crafts time? Because
I need to.
Well, the reason I ask is these Moneymaker trophies are crazy. 12 of them given out through this tournament. We have the main event trophy number 11 and then event number 12, which you can play for this Sunday for $500. It's a 20K guarantee. And these trophies are massive. You may want to send it, express and not carry it on the plane with you if you're coming from out of state, because this thing's a monster. They may not let you through TSA with this bad boy if you win one of these trophies.
I do have a goal of winning some hardware coming up. Nolan with a gutter backdoor flush draw and overs to Kyle's pair, not overs to the ace. Does seem good enough to bet small. He goes very small with it. Kyle not going anywhere with a pair. 6 does not help either player.
Deuce of diamonds would have been fun, though.
Would have been an action card. Go really small again. No, he's catching up. Only gonna go for the second barrel. 150. Kyle's pulled some raises when he felt like a raise would work. This is probably the time that it's going to. See if he wants to represent an ace. Wants to rep a 7, 10, 7, 5. Middling 2 pair combinations. he does raise, it's going to be tough for Queen 10 to continue, but he doesn't know that his opponent's that thin. Just going to choose to fight another day, let the deuces go, and go for another one. There'll be better ones other time. Oh, we have to show one. Which one's he going to pick? 10. Ooh, that's not the one you want to see. That makes it look like 10 Jack, 10 Queen. You don't really expect him to have 10-9 or 10-8, but Ace 10 is also possible. But looks like a draw when you see the 10. Queen looks like Ace Queen, Queen 9 a little bit more, I think, but the 10 looks very straight draw-y.
Getting a little quiet here. Nolan's got the energy, but he's also got the chips. That's kind of how it goes.
It's called chirping chips. Win a bunch of chips, you get to talk. Lose them all, you don't have the chirping chips.
Looks like we got a couple mystery hands again, at least Chris, so we can play along at home. We got the raise to 100 from the cutoff. Romo's got Picasso here, 2 pieces of paint. He's going to try and light call here. Was 100. He throws 75 in, try and get a discount. Hey, Romo, Cowboys, save some money. Kyle definitely is not going anywhere with 5-4, and Tony's going to be part of the mystery concoction here. We are 4-handed. And top pair for Romo, mystery for the other players. Kyle, once again, doesn't hit. Check, check, check.
We like free cards if we're in Kyle's spot.
Yeah, maybe a deuce or 6. Nope. 3 of a kind for Romo now, and
we turn dead, and that's not what we're looking for.
Tony hasn't been one to check if he has a holding here, and Chris won't either, so looks like, I don't know, what can Tony have here? Do you think he can have some kind of straight draw, some kind of club draw? I don't think he has an under pair.
But this hand is going to Romo. Kyle let out. He was thinking that it checked through on the flop, so it's unlikely anyone has a jack. It's unfortunate for him that he gets 2 different callers. Like, he can't really do anything now because 2 different players have shown interest in the hand. Then he get led into on the river. I would say in general this lead is usually like a block lead where you're trying to name your own price. You don't want anyone to bet too big, but this lead was for like 3/4 pot, and it was by
Look at those pumpkins. Pretty sight. Not good if you're going against a boat.
I think Kyle came to the same conclusion as I, that this lead is often trying to name your own price and not wanting to get too out of hand. So sometimes we just have to pounce on that. We have to raise big. We have to make it nearly impossible for our opponent to call with middle strength hands. It's just unfortunate that this time Romo was he was leading for value, just not wanting to check through, and Kyle in good spirits going to show that he raised with 5 high, and he's not going to call, but Romo not going to fold because the only hand beating him is pocket queens, and that's almost impossible at this point. But we get the fun bonus game. What card is Kyle going to pick to see? Well, because we're distant, so he shows them both. That's a nice guy. Flips over a queen at first, shows him the jack as well. Friendly guy, you know. Someone's going to raise bluff with 5 high. You might as well show him that you had the goods and just unlucky timing.
And Kyle, yeah, definitely unlucky timing. He hasn't really had much to work with over the last little while, and definitely trying to make some moves, keep the chips coming his way, but that just was horrible timing. It looks like whenever we see a mystery hand, usually it's because a card has a crack in it. They are RFID cards, so it looks like we're going to get a setup switch again. It's more difficult with 4 cards, why you don't see a lot of Omaha streams. The players squeeze the cards and can damage the RFID in them. And we want to make sure that you and I can see, along with everyone at home, what's actually happening here. So this gives us a chance to let the players regroup.
It looks like Kyle's reaching into the bag, seeing what he's going to pull out. possibly more ammunition.
He's definitely not afraid.
Does appear to be extra firing power he's added to the table.
It's pumpkin time.
Yep.
This was a 3K min, no max, 5-10, 25 game, the 25 optional. Did have plans for a couple extra players, but things do pop up, so we are currently 5-handed. The players have been pretty game. Gave us plenty of action to watch here. This is day 1A right now as they're playing of the Moneymaker main event, 1,500, 300K guarantee. Anyone looking to fire can get in tomorrow, which would be Friday the 26th at noon, and then also the 27th, Saturday at noon. That is a $1,500 buy-in, 300K guarantee. Probably one of the best structures you'll find anywhere. You also can satellite in Friday at 3 and 7, and then Saturday doing a crazy 10 a.m. flight. You can get in for $186 if you want to play a satellite for a 1,500 seat. They use that 86 number because that was the Moneymaker satellite. 86 turned into 10K, which he then turned into 2.5 million. Then we also have event number 12 on Sunday at 1 p.m. That's the Moneymaker Last Chance, 20K guaranteed for $500 buy-in. And I've skipped this whole time. I was wrong. We actually have a mega stack on Saturday as well at 6 p.m. So excuse me, that's a 5K guarantee, and that one's only $186 buy-in. So 2 more trophies besides the main event trophy to give out. So you're looking to play, you want to play for 1,500, you can. You want to win your way in for 186, you can. Or you can play event number 11 or 12. Those trophies are substantial. They look great. If you hurry up, you might get Chris to sign it for you. That'd be fun. You get a picture with the world champion.
Oh, that would be fun. I would definitely try to do that if I won one of the Moneymaker tournament trophies.
You can Photoshop a signature by Dr. Fischel if you want one too. Oh boy. Is that what you sign, Kyle? Do you sign hats, oh boy?
I do not. I've only signed like maybe 4 things.
So humble because I don't think I've signed anything. Maybe some checks to my daughter's soccer club, but no one's ever asking me for a signature, Kyle.
Yeah, those private soccer lessons, they can be expensive. Also can be expensive if you don't run good on this table, but we're going to see Tony limp the queens, going for the trap, hoping his opponent raises, but Chris too smart for that. He's going to just check, free flop, and he pairs a 6, so little piece. I think you're pretty comfortable if you're Tony here. You expect Chris to raise almost all aces, so you're not really worried about anything right now. But now the board's getting straightier, flushier, lower, and the backdoor flush comes in. But you do have the queen of diamonds. Tony checks. Or no, he thought it said check. He bets and gets snapped.
Chris did say you're good, but he hasn't shown his hand yet.
Oh, the reverse slow roll.
All the value you could, sir. Oh, I know.
Looks like he bet around 65, 70, but either way, it's a good value bet. He gets paid by worse. It is difficult to get paid on rivers with less than top pair and getting it paid, but Tony finds a way on this one, so good for him.
It's like Neil is up and John is back in. Little dealer change here. Playing 5-handed, 5-10 no limit, $25 straddle, 3K min no max. In our Daytona Poker Live, I was going to say studio here. Oh, looks like mandatory collection here. 5-handed, Kyle, when's the last time you played a deep stack short-handed game?
Probably in Orange City. Sometimes like the games run late and players bust or leave, but in Orange City the games are just so good. You're just like, let's play on. No reason to leave. It doesn't matter if the table's not full. The players are good. The action's good. We play.
The tracker sidekick and knew Romo was getting ace queen suited.
I guess to double check himself. Like, ooh, nice one. We
Very
like this.
pretty
This is a good
starting hand here. Yeah.
Okay, so now we should put chips in. How many do we want?
Looks like the 25 is on, so he's going to do the standard for him, the 3x.
After a little bit of thinking, wants to make sure he likes his option. And he's got hearts covered from Nolan, but Chris is playing a fortuitous hand. It is a very fortuitous hand.
The backdoor flush part or bottom 2 pair on the flop. We'll see what happens. We have check, check, check. 230-ish in the pot here. Ace of clubs is going to give Chris even more equity here, but it gives Romo top pair. Little does he know he'd be going against 2 pair here, but he does have a counterfeit card in the 9 and has an ace and a queen.
That's 150, pretty standard bet. Chris is gonna show him how behind he is, gets the check raised to 500. And now if you're Romo, you're in kind of a gross spot because there's so many draws out there. He could be raising with a weaker ace. Chris Moneymaker, he has bluffs. But if the river is just massive, it's hard to continue. Eight is a relatively safe card if you're Romo. Like, you're hoping your opponent has ace 10, ace jack. And those hands you are still beating. But Chris is going to value bet. 1,500. Massive bet. One of the biggest bets we've seen. He's betting with 2 pair. He's versing a pair of aces. I do not envy Romo's spot. This is a brutal spot. You're versing someone who has bluffs. Clearly has the ability to unload if he feels the need. Could have missed clubs. Technically, he does have missed clubs, but 2 pair in itself is going to be good enough here. See what Romo decides he wants to do with a pair of aces and a very strong kicker.
I think he's going to have to make a crying call. Kudos for taking this time.
I think in general, getting in a habit of folding top pairs is quite bad. You don't want to have your opponents have the ability to get you to fold this hand, but if you play it back, you're versing like a 2x pot check raise, and then a little bit over pot on the river. That is pretty dang strong. That is very, very strong. And you have to really put your opponent on like 4 or 5 of clubs. Maybe that might be it.
You know, 4-5 is the hand that Chris Moneymaker won the main event with, I believe.
Well, then it's even more likely on this one, I guess. Like, you have to be like, the only hands you beat that play this way are 4 or 5 of clubs, ace 5 and ace 3 of any suit. They might check raise and then not give up. Because I don't think ace jack, ace 10 bets this big on the river anymore. But yeah, it's just so brutal. How do you raised pre, you're saying how does he have 2 pair? How does he have a set?
There's the call, chips.
Yep, if he grabs it like this, I think that Romo is leaning closer to call, which will be unfortunate for him in this spot. It's not all that often the person gathers the chips in a hand and then still ends up folding. Somewhat of a live read, but generally accurate. I'd say he's definitely calling on this one now.
Chris has been pretty talkative, but it seems like Romo's talking more to himself. He could probably get something out of Chris, at least a hello. Think long and think... I don't want to say it.
From my personal experience, the longer I take, I usually talk myself into a call. Just because I just keep going over the bluff combinations and I find more and more bluff combinations.
Of all the hands, though, 4 deuce is the one you probably don't think about if you're beat.
Yeah, when you're Roma right now, all you think about is that is a bad turn card. Because you lose no money if you don't turn an ace. But sometimes your outs are not outs. They're reverse implied outs. They hit and they cost you money. And this was one of the times where you just did not want to turn your ace.
Great bet sizing by Chris. Unfortunate for Romo. One of those spots where I don't know how many of us watching are able to fold that ace there. That's a tough one.
Very difficult. It's even harder because it's Chris Moneymaker. Like, it's not someone who plays no hands. Like, he's shown, I think he 4-bet with King 7 suited. Like, he has plenty of bluffs, so it's almost a spot where you just can't fold. And it's just unfortunate that he happened to have it this time. So when you're playing good players that are balanced and have the ability to bluff, sometimes they're good players because they're going to have a hand and they've set it up so that they can get paid themselves. Kyle's going to fold the 10-5 suited. Doesn't have the power to play, well, not at the table.
Go Gadget arms. Looks like Tony's going to lay it down on the button, whatever his holding was. Chris with the Queen 9 off is going to raise it up. The old 105.
That's fun. Sometimes you got to mix it up a little bit. Get something happening on this stream.
See if Romo finds something to battle back with. Jack 6 on his straddle. Probably not the position you want to be in. Go ahead.
I said I would pass on this one, but this is in the revenge range. This opponent just took a big pot off you. I don't want to fold anymore. I want to win some back, or we just don't know it's on me. Double checking. Sometimes you get into that kind of groove where you're just like, I have to win my money back against this person. And that can be expensive sometimes. Sometimes it gets you to play hands you wouldn't normally play. So I do like passing on the Jack 6 off.
I'm being told in a hand or two the players are going to take a quick break and they are going to replace both setups at the same time. So there will be a few minute break here. If Kyle would like to refill his favorite beverage, he may do so, but I'll be here with you all and go over some of these fun announcements we have for future tournaments in Daytona. Good stuff here. If you stick around, you can hear these announcements. What you got, Kyle?
It would be helpful. My beverage is empty, and it is water. Yeah, gotta keep the throat moist for the commentary.
Gotta keep the pipes greased, ready to go here. So we have Jack 9 off and King 4 off.
Limped pot. Seems like everyone is kind of toning down the action. We started with fireworks, but then what sometimes happens is you take a punch here and there, you take a beat. Then you're like, okay, let's dial it back a little bit. Let's be a little bit less risky and try to reel it in a bit. Pair of kings is good, but no money's gone in. Not even a river bet.
Winning and losing the minimum. Just the straddle.
No shame in winning. Whenever I button straddle and get a walk, I always say, if I could win a walk every single lap, I could not lose this game.
There's something about a story you can't win a tournament unless you get at least one walk.
Is that a thing? I've never heard that one before. That one's funny. I like it.
I don't know. I don't win tournaments. Just sit and goes occasionally on a cruise ship when the play is really bad.
There you go.
What are we doing, John? John's pulling in Kyle's card.
Looks like we are no longer dealing him in while he's not at the table.
There's an old thing in poker. If you pay a time rate game, sometimes you get in the card, sometimes you don't. But
that's interesting.
It's a house rule thing. You're paying for the spot. But some rooms do it, some don't. It's just a house rule thing. It's whatever you're comfortable with. So we have an ace 10 raised to 75 for Romo. Moneymaker still has his cards. It looks like he bumped it to 150. Was that a click raise? It was.
Looks like he wants to be the action that this world needs. But this time he runs into an ace. And he will not try to rep it. Gonna say, interesting dynamic if he puts a ton of money in there and puts a single ace in a terrible spot 2 times in a row.
He might float one card here with the jack. He did hit the turn. Tony shut it down on the flop and allowed Chris to get a card here. Now 2 aces on the board. Does Chris think it's unlikely Tony Romo, that Romo has an ace here? But that right there is a bet. $700 pot. I didn't hear anything verbal. I just see the pumpkin fly. Wow, Chris sniffed that out pretty quickly.
That's the revenge range. He just took a big pot off me. I need a big one off him. And then he gets to pick his card, and he picks the ace. So no wondering at all, not even for 5 minutes, if he made the right call or not.
So this is going to be the quick break. They are going to change the cards out. You see poker manager Joe LaRosa giving the players the moment. Take a few moments here to replace the cards. They are RFID cards, and they do get damaged when they get bent up by the players. So I'm going to let Kyle take his few moments here to refill drinks, and I'll go over some announcements, and I'll see you in a moment here, Kyle.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I love the announcements.
Well, I do thank everyone for joining us on stream as we give the dealer and floor staff there a chance to switch the cards out. If you are viewing us through one of our 3 ways, which would be Twitch, YouTube, or Facebook, I thank you, and I hope you shared this so at least someone else could check out what we do here on stream at the Daytona Beach Racing and Card Club. We do have more events coming up for you. Our next stream is actually going to be this Monday when we have day 3 of the Moneymaker main event. See which players are playing for the majority prize pool there, $300,000 guaranteed. Last time the Moneymaker Tour was in town, first place was just around $100,000, and you can get into that tournament for as little as $186 if you satellite in. A couple events to talk about coming up here. We do have the Kentucky Derby party happening in Daytona Beach. You can also make your bets from Orange City. There will be a concert featuring Funk and Country. I dare you to read it fast if you see the copy I'm looking at. It doesn't always come out as Funk and Country. There also is going to be some drink specials, free t-shirts, and also a crazy Kentucky Derby hat contest. If you've never seen the Kentucky Derby hats, some kind of mint julep special too, and maybe a special glass. It is the 150th running of the Kentucky Derby, the fastest 2 minutes in sports. Got some information about our Women's Charity Invitational Weekend, which is happening in Orange City the weekend of May 17th through 19th. A couple different events there. Check out orangecitypoker.com for more information on that. We did mention quite a few times the Memorial Day weekend $100,000 cash promotion payouts from Friday through Monday. Over $100,000 will be given out in guaranteed payouts, including $1,000 every 20 minutes on Saturday. And May 27th is Big Ass High Hands. Definitely get more information there. You can check us out on Instagram, Facebook, X, or the websites. We also have a couple guaranteed tournaments coming up. The GAPT Classic is going to be Sunday, May 26th. That's during the Memorial Day weekend. That's a $230 buy-in, 30,000 chips, 30-minute blinds, and that's a $25K guarantee. That tournament normally crushes the guarantee on a $230 buy-in, so check that out May 26th. In June, the 19th through 23rd, $100,000 guarantee GAPT Summer Classic, $250 buy-in, and a starting stack of 30,000 units and 30-minute blinds. If you've never played one of these deep stack tournaments that Byron puts on, you're missing out. That'll be June 19th through 23rd. And July 24th through 29th, a $250K guarantee GAPT Summer Deep Stack at Daytona Beach. That's going to be a big one. Make sure you check your calendar, save the date. So a couple big events coming up. Very excited to be streaming with you this evening and again on Monday. I've just found out that when they come back from this break and just a few hands after that, Tom Wheaton will be joining the game. So we're going to add some dead money to the table. Tom will also be in the booth with me on Monday. So please don't tell him I shared that needle with you. But Tom Wheaton, founder of Faded Spade, will be joining the cast stream here, and then will also be hosting with me on Monday for the final 6 players playing down the first and the Moneymaker main event trophy. I see Dr. Fischel's getting ready there. He's having a quick snack. I think the players have just another moment here. See our staff there getting everything ready for you all to get the stream back going. You got your dealer, John. You got our action tracker there standing there. That's Thomas getting the cards ready. We also have Jonathan back here doing cameras, and our production and IT staff of Dylan and John helping out a lot. We also want to thank our marketing team, Frank and Sydney, for all they do to get the message out and bring these great events to you all. So we'll be back with the table in just a moment. I know we've lost a couple of viewers. I will take a breath and let the play commence in just a moment here. Do thank you all for joining us. Let's see. We can listen in as the players are making their way back to the table here. We'll welcome Kyle back in. Dr. Fischel, how was your snack?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, it's important to stay hydrated, keep your blood sugar up. You don't want to get woozy when you're playing poker or commentating poker. It could be a disastrous result.
If you didn't hear Kyle, Dead Money Tom Wheaton is going to be joining the cast stream here in a few minutes, which is going to be fun. Yep, we'll definitely have some Tom stories. I know he's a good friend of Matt Berkey and has done some of that Solve for Why training. Figure out how that's helped his game. Looks like he'll be sitting next to Nolan, so I'll have position on Nolan and Moneymaker. But he'll also have Romo on his left, and Romo is definitely not afraid to splash.
Not to throw shade, but when I played this game with Moneymaker a few months ago, you can see on my blog, by the way, Kyle Fischel, probably the only hand I won was technically bluffing Tom Wheaton. So
was it hard to bluff Tom, or was it pretty easy?
He told me afterwards that he misread his hand, and it actually made a lot of sense when he said it, because the board was queen high 2 diamonds. I had 2 diamonds, and he had ace 4 with just the 4 of diamonds. And he raised me on the flop, and then check turn, and I bet he folded. And he thought he had ace 4 of diamonds, but his ace was hearts. And even on stream, when you rewatch it, he kind of rolls his eyes when he looks back at his hand. I'm like, yeah, I think he really did think he had ace 4 of diamonds. Then he looked at it, and he's like, oh, well, that's less than ideal.
I do remember this, so yes, we will believe him that he did misread it. And the more you play, it happens. I know a young lady who plays soccer, and occasionally an own goal is scored, and if you don't kick the ball into your own goal, you're not trying, apparently.
Oh yeah, that's less than ideal. We try not to do that.
No. But there is a whole category for own goal, and it does happen. So
we can pay even more money to travel to the next soccer game and do it again.
Yep. Maybe you can come out and commentate tryouts with me next week. That'd be fantastic. Hello, world. It's Kyle and Ryan. We're here to bash 14-year-olds as they try out for soccer.
True story. In middle school, I was part of the travel team for my area. It was called the Cyclones, and middle school, it was basically the exact same team because my middle school was right across the street from the soccer complex, and we won county so easily. We'd make it 7-0 in 10 minutes, and we would just play keep away for 45 minutes because we didn't want the game to end. And then the exact same team went to the same high school at Cape Coral High School, and they wanted me to play for them, but I chose football instead. And my football team went to like nowhere in playoffs, and that kickball soccer team won a state championship. So the choices we make.
Yeah, Mike, maybe two, maybe three.
I hear you. It was a fun year this year. My daughter playing club soccer and also playing high school kept them busy. These kids have a lot going on with school and all the other social things that happen, friends and other friends. I'm not going to say the word boyfriend on stream. So I want to make sure when we come back to hand 63, we get some information about the stacks here. I believe Chris Moneymaker up to 9,000. Nolan, let's click on this, Kyle, and we can look at this together. Let me see here. Bam. Looks like Tony at 3,300. I don't believe he's in for 3 bullets. I think that might be a mistake, showing him down 6,000 on the evening. I'm not comfortable with that one.
I'm not sure. I know.
The good news is when they come back from this break that they're on currently, it may actually update the chip counts.
For that one, now that I think about it, I think it's when he ran it twice with Chris Moneymaker, he lost the first board. So I think they're just counting it as he lost that hand.
Well, looking at Tony's stack right now, trying to judge, and if he's doing stacks at 20, that's 2K in black, another 500 in green roughly, so 2,500, 26, 27. I mean, he's probably right around 3K.
Yeah.
Maybe
I think
plus.
They counted him a 3K loss all in against Chris Moneymaker ace-4 versus 9-10 of clubs when Chris won the first board.
We know Kyle did stack up or chip up before he left the table a while ago, so it's hard to guess what the actual counts are, but hey, either way, they're 5-handed, about to be 6-handed. Looks like play is going to resume here in just a moment. We'll have Mr. Wheaton join the game. Maybe he'll get to see his favorite card in the deck, the Ace of Spades, which he helped design. Those are Faded Spade cards, and he is the founder of Faded Spades, so there you go.
Apparently he needs to win tonight because everyone at this table are cracking his cards in half.
It does happen, yep. The RFID cards can cause a problem. I was at the World Series of Poker a few years ago when the Mini 1 drop that Doug Polk ended up winning, one of the most stacked feature final tables I've ever seen. If I go down a list of players that were there, my wife and I were watching, and they had a problem with their RFID cards. They weren't Faded Spade. Maybe that was the problem. And it was kind of interesting to see how they had to stop this feature table. It was on Poker Go and get everything all caught up because it really is a machine how these streams run. And when something comes up an anomaly like a card issue, it can definitely put the brakes on it quick. But
lots of moving parts.
Yep, looks like Romo's got lots of coffee.
3 cups. Champ. You said we're playing all night. I make 10K before I leave, or we keep playing.
If not at this table, you definitely can go play the 1 card. People are aware at home we do offer all of the different table games that you can play in Florida, including 3-card poker, 3-card poker, Ultimate Texas Holdem, Pie Gal, Face Up Pie Gal. Kyle, if you're not familiar, War, or we call 1 card, your card versus mine. And if we tie, we go 3 down, 1 up, baby. Just like in the old days.
My old friend Curtis, that was a regular in Orange City, he would always, if he was up like $527 or whatever, he would take that last bit and always put it on the 1-card poker on his way out. And he ran very good doing it. I swear he probably doubled 80% of the time because he always used it to buy dinner. And if he won, he sometimes took me. So
he was a legend,
Curtis.
Kyle. He's a legend.
He was the best.
Had a couple thoughts about Kurt the other day. He wanted to make it out to the Masters last year, and when the Masters came around this year, kind of a sentimental moment for me. But, you know, rest in peace, our good friend Kurt. Even though he was a Buckeye fan, he was a good one.
He played for them. He gets to be a fan. If you play for the team, you get to be a fan for them. Let's be honest.
Okay, here we are, five-handed. You're talking, they play in a stadium, a lot of people call it the toilet bowl there. We're going to shuffle all the cards in this time, so here we go. Five-handed, like I said, in a few moments. Tom Wheaton will be joining this game. Maybe get the game out of the muck, or maybe donate. Looks like everyone's refreshed after the break. We got snacks, drinks, chips in hand. Now we just need some cards and some big pots. And Romo is going to be, it says cut off, but I guess with the straddle, really, you can call it whatever you want. Under the gun plus whatever cut off. He has the King 4 suited. Kyle's on the button.
Apparently the coffee hasn't hit him yet, because if you were zooming, you'd be playing that.
What was the dirty diaper hand? I know that guy was just in the news. He got his clock cleaned somewhere. Was that a 3 deuce or a 4 deuce?
It is a 3 deuce offsuit.
Yep.
Regular diaper is suited, dirty diaper is offsuit.
Well, I heard that he got crushed recently. So we have a pair of 9s for Moneymaker and backdoor diamonds and backdoor straight possibilities for Nolan with the queen high. Moneymaker's got the equity here, and he's going to put 50 into the pot. And he's going to get looked up. Shows Nolan has queens as his outs unless something hit. Moneymaker betting dark. And a jack hits. Betting dark with the best hand, 9-4.
Interesting strategy. Kind of fun. It's whenever you do something unique like this, you can almost guarantee your opponent doesn't have a lot of experience versus dark betting. It's just, you see it so infrequently that it can work out very well for you. That these kind of gimmicky moves and stuff, they're gonna work out at a high frequency. So, wouldn't be the shame to try to experiment, put them into your game here and there, and see if you can't get some exploits work out for you.
I see Sam in chat. Hi, Sammy. Hope you're having a good night. Anyone else in chat that wants to say hello, it would be nice to hear from you. We've had quite a few people come in and shout out to Dr. Fischel here and say hello to myself. We are streaming for some time longer. Nothing official announced. I know there's a player joining the stream. This is hand number 65. I know Chris and some other players did visit Orange City and play a pretty late game, so I'm sure they're ready for a marathon session. I don't think Dr. Kyle and I signed up for that, but we're here for your amusement. Oh, here it is.
The chips are brought for you.
Wow, a little 5K-age.
Doesn't carry his own chips to the table. They're brought in, professional.
Maybe I didn't want you to call.
Oh, is he going to walk right into the blinds? Perfect. How do you time that even more? I know, Kyle, you'd like to wait till the button passes. Just kidding, you're not that tight. But there are some thoughts to that where maybe, dealer, I'd like to sit out if I may.
Yeah, I've seen some tables where they're like in the cutoff when they say it, and it's just like...
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're going to offer him to buy the button. Do you think he'll buy it? Because I'd pay for it for him. Tom, you need some help? He's in.
I've seen players where they're like, do you want to buy it? And they're on the literal cutoff, and they say no, and they're like, all right, you have to wait a few hands. And they say, sure. Now, if you're ever at a table and you see someone like that, there's just like no reason to play aggressively against them. The image you give when you do that is so tight that that player specifically should not be. Like, if they 3-bet, you're like, this person didn't want to put in $5, so now they're putting in 100 something. It's all right. They probably have it.
No, you start a GoFund them instead of GoFundMe. You need money to pay your blinds? Go fund them.
That's just kind of an exploit. I think that people should. Oh, Samantha says hi, Ryan and Kyle. You guys are doing great. Thank you, Samantha. I appreciate that.
She's getting a raise. So here we have the 7-4 off against the King tray of diamonds, and we have a 4 on the flop along with 1 diamond. Nolan is first to act, playing from the small blind, and Romo is going to be facing a $50 bet into a $200 pot and says, sure, King tray. Kyle, is that a sure call for you?
Because it's a tray, he's got backdoor straight, backdoor flush, and an overcard. Like, there's a lot of turn cards that give him some amount of equity. The queen is just a horrible one. You turn, like, dead some of the time, but even if it turns like an offsuit deuce, you're super happy. A 7, you have a straight draw. A diamond, you're pretty good. A king, also good. You have a lot of playability with that hand, but sometimes you have it, and then you get a turn card that just absolutely kills all your equity, and you just have to just let it go. But sometimes you get the dream deuce of diamonds when you're open-ended over and a flush draw, and you get to raise there.
Nice to see six-handed action here. We're going backwards than you do in a tournament. Tournament, you want to get fewer players. Yeah, we're growing players here in the cash game. Seats open, table 47.
The stream doesn't end until the table is full, and we have a list.
The party don't stop until okay, anyways, we're going to have Tony getting out of the way with his jack tray. I think Chris verbalized raise. It is a straddle, so that's his typical 4X there.
Now we get a new position. There's a hijack available. Hijack / under the gun.
Raise and take it.
Take it down. 10-6.
Chris, legendary heads-up match with Sammy Farha, who used to say a raisy daisy back in the old high-stakes poker days.
Did you see the time where they ran it back and he won again?
What's that?
They had a show or a gimmick or something where, like 10-20 years later, Chris played Sammy Farha heads up again when they start with the same chip stacks and everything.
Oh, wow.
And he ended up beating him a second time. And there was one hand in that match that was just absolutely hysterical. Like, Sammy Farha flopped a straight, and Chris MoneyMaker just had, like, an under pair to the board, and the top card ran out 3 of a kind.
Wow.
And then Sammy just like, what? How is... I flopped a straight. How did this even happen? And he's like, oh, full house with a pair of 4s. It's so ridiculous.
The interesting part of that final table is pretty stacked table now. A lot of those names people would know at home if you've been watching poker for a long time. But I believe Phil Ivey was either at the final table or bubbled the final table. And what a dynamic there. There was a great hand where Chris slow rolled on accident because didn't know it was on him. Famous, hey, you know it's on you, right? But Phil Ivey, I believe, got it in the head, and Chris caught up, and Chris became the world champion later. Phil Ivey still doing well in life.
2 outed.
Yeah, it can be a cruel game, but for Chris, it was a very rewarding game.
All hard board. The table's gotten deeper. Kyle's had a little bit of break, and he's reloaded, and he's still firing. He 3-bet pre, and with his gutter and overcards, he's gonna get the 5s to fold.
Man, every time I have a joke about Chris's hoodie, he takes it down. I thought he was auditioning for Star Wars there a minute ago. I swear it's like Darth Moneymaker, but he pops the hood down. Better than the guy who plays.
A pretty good joke.
Yeah,
that was like an 8 out of 10.
I got one through. Reminds me of the guy who plays what is it? The high rollers, and they talk about how he hides his whole body and face with a scarf and how obnoxious it is. But you know, it is what it is. Neil is back. See what he does with the cards here. Some magic, maybe a nice big pot here. I know Tony's due for a big win. Tom hasn't been involved with much here. I don't know what the heck Romo's chewing on. You just ate pizza, bro. I'm done. Nolan with pocket 6s. Looks like Moneymaker's the straddle there. First to act.
Everyone needs a thing. You could be the food guy. That's a thing to be at the poker table. We got Tom Wheaton. He's the card guy.
He's got the double down, and he's going to get out.
And Chris Moneymaker. He's the main event guy. No. You know, Romo could be the food guy.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, good for him. Maybe I'm getting hangry in here, Kyle. It's been a minute. Moneymaker finds the 3.
In a row, though.
Oh, Kyle did the 3-bet. Sorry, Moneymaker with the smooth call with Queen 9.
Yeah, Kyle raised Ace-Jack last time. This time, technically balancing, putting a weaker hand in there, but he is after it now. He got a little bit of momentum, thinks he's going to keep it going. Let's see if he can get a flop favorable for himself. Ace high, good for his range. Gets a 4 as well. Chooses to check this one. He does have showdown value. Worry that any other player can have an ace or king. I expect this to go to a free turn. I don't really see 6s trying to bluff at this in a 3-bet pot into 2 people on an ace high board. But, you know, Nolan's up a bunch of money. Maybe he's just feeling himself.
Do you ever
Really
see
taking
Nolan
his
with
time.
a 4-bet pre? Ever? Like an Alex
I've,
Keaton type move?
I've not yet. He does choose to put in a bet here. Kyle check raising. What a move. Says, you know what? I have the best aces. I have the best kings. But Chris Moneymaker's not folding a flush draw. And now that sixes adventure really did not work out well. Kyle gets the best hand as of now, seeing if he can fade a ton of outs on the turn. He's still live. It's such a weird dynamic because Kyle checked, Chris Moneymaker had the betting lead, chose to check, then calls a check raise. Not a very standard spot you would think ever.
4K in the pot. Still another street to bet. See what Chris does here. If he were to bet, Kyle's probably not going to raise, but you do get afraid of getting bluffed out on a re-raise here, no, or a raise, or no?
No, if Chris bets here, he's pretty committed. It's between a 2 and a 3K bet. Like we are setting up for stacks on this one, especially with a flush draw.
Well, can we start talking stack to pot ratio? Is that where we're at here?
We are. It's 1.5 to 1. But we are playing for stacks if we're putting out bet in here. But Chris gets to play in position, wants to realize his equity, and he realizes it. Hits a flush. Kyle with showdown value, but he's going to learn that it's no good when he checks, and Chris is absolutely going to put out a bet here. Going to see how big he chooses. I think Chris Moneymaker is repping a very strong hand here. So anywhere between like 2.5 and 3.5K, I think is the sizing he's going to choose. I don't think going small here makes any sense. Kyle's kind of saying he has an ace here in general, and when you have a flush and your opponent just kind of has one pair, kind of just want to bet medium. He does go 3K right in the middle. If you're Kyle, it's just very unfortunate. Like, this is probably the biggest pot of the night, 7,000, and does your opponent have the ability to bluff? Yes. Could he have Queen Jack, Jack 10? I would say kind of unlikely. I don't think they call a check raise on the flop. Does your opponent have medium pocket pairs that they're turning into a bluff? Yeah, maybe your opponent has pocket 10s with a diamond. That's not impossible. But you don't beat that, and a raise here would probably get that to fold, but it just seems very, very high level, very difficult for it to work out. Just sitting here knowing his opponent can bluff it sometimes. Oh, the hood goes on. Max intimidation.
And if they're showing a card, he will be shown a diamond.
Yeah, at some frequency, I think that plays through your head as well. You get to just know you're going to know a little bit about what the hand is. You might not get perfect information, but I fold, I still get to see one. Seems like an added benefit to folding in this game specifically. Don't always get that dynamic, so kind of take advantage of it in the ways it benefits you.
He is going through the range of everything that does beat him. I haven't heard him say much of what he can beat. He said, I can't beat Queen Jack of Diamonds, I can't beat an Ace of Diamonds, so it does seem he is thinking the right direction here, leaning towards a fold, just taking his time. It is Chris Moneymaker.
And unfortunately for him, I do think that with the amount of time he's taking right now, raise is not possible anymore. So like if he did think he had like a pocket pair with a single diamond and was thinking about putting a bluff in there, the amount of time it took him kind of took that off the table.
He checks so fast on the turn. If you had some kind of set that maybe ends up boating up there, it's unlikely to have that quick check on the turn, right? I mean, Chris has to know that too. Very nonchalant play. on the turn. But Chris does drag a nice size pot. I'd like to show the chip counts, but we think there may be a small discrepancy here. But let's go ahead and press the stack button anyways. Ignore the big blind section. They'll show Nolan at 5,700, who we know is in for 3K. Tom bought in for 5K. Romo in for 3K. Tony did rebuy. Don't know what his reload was. Kyle's reloaded quite a bit. So I think we're a little off on some of those counts.
Yeah, I do think that last hand was extremely interesting. Like, Kyle raises because he knows that Nolan is extremely likely to be full of it on that one. And he chooses to turn his hand into a check raise and get all the milling pocket pairs and nonsense hands out of there. And then it works out in that regard. He just doesn't expect Chris Moneymaker to call behind. And then that adds a whole new, just weird element that you weren't really expecting. Like, you're check raising specifically to get Nolan out of there, but then you're called, and man, did he check an ace? Did he check a king? It gets wild at that point, and then the river card just seals it. But Chris picks up pocket threes and flops a full house. He is wishing someone had an ace because an ace obviously pays him a ton of money, and Tony's not gonna pay.
Got up to show one. There it is.
It's hard to flop a full house. It's also hard to get paid when you do flop a full house. Too much board locked up.
Especially against random just kings. They can see in 15 minutes, Chris. We're on a 15-minute delay, and they will see your flopped full house in all its glory.
It was glorious.
Chris has changed looks now. He's going with more of the stretchy bandana look. Man of many looks here. And then we get to see the hair. I told him his stylist got him well done before the picture was taken. So Tom's going to be the straddle, and Romo under the gun, 9 high, no good. Kyle finds the king jack, 3x 75, and Tony on the button with a offsuit ace 6. Tony looking to make something happen, getting deeper in the night here. He is on his second bullet, I believe. And there's a 3-bet to 2 1/4.
He did choose to 3-bet bluff the ace 4 earlier today. Now an ace 6 offsuit, he's choosing to 3-bet bluff. And Kyle's going to let it go. He's going to say, you know what, Tony, you've been playing very few hands, so I just want to... I'll just wait for a better opponent, a better spot. Tony's going to show the 3-bet bluff. Can't be a good sight for Kyle to see.
So, 6-handed action here, Daytona Poker Live. Kyle Fischel, content creator, poker player extraordinaire, and yours truly, Ryan Unger from the Orange City Racing and Card Club. Happy with you all on this Thursday evening. It was either us or the NFL Draft, and we stole 50 of you away from that. I believe there's also some Lightning hockey and the Orlando Magic in a must-win. Well, to not go down 3-0 in the series are playing as well, so we're happy you're joining us. We thank you. If you want to say hi in chat, that's cool. Otherwise, we'll just pretend the robots are alive. Here we go, 2 1/4. That's a 3-bet from Moneymaker with ace 5 off of Kyle's 9. 8.
Tom's gonna 4-bet it to 5-10. Suited ace, always fun when the first hand you choose to play is a 4-bet. Kyle, nothing he can really do with 8-9 off versus a 4-bet. Chris kind of in a weird spot because he's getting an amazing price versus a 4-bet, but ace 5 is just doing very, very bad against it because all your aces are dominating you. All the pocket pairs mean you're drawing to a single ace, and it's gonna be hard to know where you're at. You know, even on ace high boards, you're like, does he have an ace king? And I'm just very bad, or do we just whiff and he just has pocket jacks? And it's going to be a difficult route to victory on this one. But he does stick in the call. Finds a 5, so that's a start. I guess we're happy to see a 5. No diamonds for Tom Wheaton, but he's gonna rep an overpair. He's gonna, looks like he's gathering a bet, trying to say he has jacks plus for betting that hand and getting a 10 high board. Also unblocking the hearts, so Chris Moneymaker could theoretically call him with, let's say, King Jack of Hearts, which, you know, Tom's beating. But if Chris does end up putting him on an Ace King Ace Queen hand, then he's gonna hold on with this 5 and see what develops.
Our pot has now swollen to just under $2,400, and I don't see Tom shutting down now.
Yeah, when Tom somehow picks up a gutter with like such limited equity on the flop, it seems like a spot where you should bet a lot of the time. You know, general rule of poker is you pick up equity so you bet. But I think in his general range, if he had an overpair, he would probably check here a lot of the time, because overpairs probably hate this board. But he's going to choose the latter option, saying, I picked up equity, I have to bet. Hopefully the second bet gets a 10 to fold, gets 2 hearts to fold, gets a random 7 to fold. But it doesn't get any of those folds, and now we're heads up to a river card, 4,700 in the middle. Queen. All right. Does Tom choose to triple barrel after 4 betting?
It's got to be a shove.
High?
It's got to be the whole thing.
Would say that the eye thing that I just saw did not look super thrilled about his spot, which you also might not be super thrilled about the spot if you had ace queen. You might feel inclined to bet this river. You might just say like, oh, well, I have ace queen of hearts and I repped it the whole way and I get top pair, so I have to jam.
I think he's going to check. He does check. And ace 9.
Back. And the 5 is good.
So Tom had just come out of the tournament. Do you think that changes the dynamic of how he plays the hand, going from tournament mode for quite a few hours into a high-stakes cash game, deep stack cash game too?
I don't think so. I think that Tom has a lot of experience playing against Chris Moneymaker. You know, they do the tour together. They see each other a lot. And Tom is well aware that Chris has some light 3-bets. And technically, he 4-bet with the best hand. So, flop play was excellent, very well done. And I don't think he would 4-bet rip, you know, ace 9 in a tournament. You would have been all in by the 3-bet probably. But, gets a 4-bet in correctly and then puts 2 big bullets out there, making it hard for a 5 to hold on. He just ran into a customer unwilling to let it go.
Looks like I have an old friend in chat that needs a loan because he's saying nice things to me. So Kyle in number 7 says, hope all is well, big sexy. They probably want something, but nice to see you too, Ross. And I'm also getting word from the room where we are on a delay that a 7th player is joining the game with a 5K buy-in. So we are going to go from 5 to 6 to 7, and the Miracle Grow is working. We are building up this feature table.
The Miracle Grow.
It works.
Fun.
If you build it, they will come. So we are going to see a $100 raise. Moneymaker standard open against the straddle. Ace 5 off. Queen 7 suited for Kyle. I think these guys have played the most hands together. Yep.
Gets a 7. See if he can hold on with it. It's a pair. We like pairs, but not the greatest board for Queen 7. Does go bet, quick call. Spades hit immediately. That might slow up both players. It does. And an 8 of spades.
Top pair? 8 pair. 8? Oh, no, not top.
Quick check, it looks like. Looks like Chris did not feel like putting in a bluff attempt. I would say you probably feel the same way. You just win like a 3K profit in pot last hand. No real reason to fight on a 4 lines flush board when you just have like absolutely nothing. So Chris chooses not to take the aggressive, fight for every pot route on that one. And Kyle gets a medium one. We'll call it a medium pot.
You have to come back and play.
Like to know how many runners are still in this first flight. I'll check with my sources out in the poker room here, Daytona Beach Racing Card Club. Had 81 runners in Flight A. Chris Moneymaker finds his standard open with ace-9 suited.
Tom's got more chips. He's ready to battle. Romo picks up a nice suited king.
So, Kyle, looks like they're down to 16 out of 81, and 11 are bagging tonight. So, good luck to the 16 there, trying to find a home for your chips to bag up for a Sunday day 2 and a chance to play on a live stream on Monday. And like we said a few months ago when the Moneymaker Tour came through, they had 100K up top for first. So good luck to those 16 remaining runners. 11 of you are bagging, and we have 2 more flights and satellites as low as $186 to get into this $1,500 bet. So we did have a 3-bet and call with King Jack suited versus Ace-9 suited. And Rome will be first to act and flops a 4 flush on a Queen 5-5 board.
Okay, well,
I'm going to have my production team look at this spam. I got some.
Chris did not choose an aggressive route last time. Mixing it up, being aggressive this time. Fortunately, this time, Romo does have the flush draw. He's probably not going to fold. Raising is viable, but a queen's not really folding all too often, so you can go either way with this. Theoretically, you could just rip, and that'd be fine.
Do you think we can get this? We have a spam in chat, Kyle. Do you think we can get them to join Instagram, or is it not worth my time?
I don't think it's impossible.
All right. I mean, I don't know what viewer or follower we have, but we definitely can use them. The Tray of Hearts comes. Doesn't really change anything.
Extreme brick. So, if Chris wants to tell the story that he has a queen, he's definitely going to fire again. If he had any pocket pair, he might fire twice. But he's going to just take his showdown value. Ace high is going to win some of the time. And ace high is good. 3 of a kind on the board. Ace high is very good. So now you're just sitting there like wondering if your opponent has a queen. And if they don't, you're just relatively nutted in this spot. Yeah, Romo's mostly shown down the goods, so he's going to try to rep a full house, queen's full.
1,500 in a 2K pot. Pretty strong.
That's a big bet.
Chris gets to see one.
Ooh, Jack of clubs. Sitting there thinking, does he have Jack X of clubs or does he have Queen Jack offsuit? Because the queen was clubs. And both are going to be going back and forth in his mind.
Romo's might be the only player at the table that can get that through. Chris can be kind of sticky depending on the players. We've seen him make an ace high call, but Romo's been pretty solid.
Against most players, I think he snaps there some of the time. But here, he doesn't even think too long. He just gives his opponent credit for having a hand. All right, we'll move on to the next one.
We had a shout out from the table. I believe Tom Wheaton said, "What's up, Kyle, and what's up, Ryan?" Well, we're 15 minutes behind, and we do appreciate your hello, Tom. So,
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah,
And
your
as we
prize.
Thank you,
Yeah.
you're gifted with kings. How special.
What's your 3-bet sizing? And he's going to go 400. It's a pretty healthy 3-bet.
Yeah, but it's good. He was just caught with ace-9, so he thinks players are less likely to give him credit. 3-betting now. And unfortunately for Romo, he wakes up with queens. And you're reversing a guy who just 3-bet ace-9 suited, and you know, tripled off with it or doubled off with it. So we're going to go for the cold 4-bet.
Would have been interesting if Kyle could have woke up with some type of ace combination here. We're going to be back to kings versus queens. Heads up, Tom and Romo. And it looks like effective 4K stacks.
Yeah, it looks like Tom's leaning closer to just call. If he was watching the stream previously, he probably pegs Romo as a tighter player. But he's also thinking they're kings, and how often does he have aces? Can't be bad to just get it in. I mean, he only has like 5K. And he is going to choose violence. We will play for all of it. And after we fade the snap call, huge sigh of relief. If your opponent snap calls, you know you're dead. After like 1.5 seconds, you know that kings are way good.
We didn't see any queens folded. I saw a king folded. King 10 for Nolan. Romo's not quick here on this this call, but way ahead, way behind decision here. Or maybe hope it's a flip to call here. Ace king possibly.
It's unfortunate because you're versing a new player. They just showed how aggressive they can be with ace-9 suited. Like, that's got to be playing his mind so hard that this opponent can bet with just suited ace combinations really hard. That's why Tom gets to do this and get paid a lot, because he just showed a bluff. Now he gets to pick up kings. And I don't really expect this to get a fold all too often. But it might just this time. Chip's going closer to the stack and getting recounted. Back in the stack.
I think a lot of times as an amateur player, in a cash game, this is a call. In a tournament, it's a huge laydown.
In a tournament, this would be a crazy laydown. If you were deep, you absolutely could never fold queens. You'd be the best tournament player in the world to fold queens if you had like 20 big blinds.
I'm married to her. So he does make the laydown.
Still profits 1,400, and he shows one king.
And Nolan's going to say, I had a king. Oh, so there's a couple combos gone. Nolan knows that. Chris announces his ace.
Yep, so Romo's going to wonder if it was ace-king or pocket kings.
We're going to shift Romo over here, Kyle, because I believe we're going to welcome Alex to the game. Don't know much about Alex, but he has a 5K stack coming.
Welcome, Alex.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
They're going to be 7-handed here. Seen a couple different levels of poker here with 5-handed. They played 4 for a little bit when players were on break. Got to 6, now 7. Got some extra analysis in chat. It's Kyle and Kyle plus Kyle at the table.
Yeah.
If I was paying attention, I might learn something. So we're welcoming our 7th player in.
Kyle in the chat says that the queen-queen is never good with that sizing. It's just an overfold. And I would say if you were playing a standard game, yes, that's very true. But we've seen players 4-bet with like queen-5 suited here. Which, are they going to do it often? No. But you're at a table where you're going to be good a lot of the time. It just so happened you weren't this time. We saw a 4-bet rip with ace-4 offsuit, so yeah, you can overfold. You can think your opponent's more saturated toward the big pairs, but you also can just call sometimes and think that your hand's good.
So what do you think about this? We have a player joining the stream late. Don't know if the player's known to anyone at the table or if they just randomly show up in Daytona Beach looking for a game and they said, hey, we have a live stream game. Would you like to buy in for 5K? And hey, Moneymaker's there? Who's that? I'm game.
Yeah, he was early on in the chat asking where the game was at, and he had to pull up the GPS, ride out. Now he's here.
Welcome. Looks like he went Ralph Lauren instead of Moneymaker. but that's okay. I respect that. Kyle,
playing the
go ahead.
King 10.
Little 3
It's
bet
a
from the
few
button.
Callers.
Or excuse me, just a 3x from the button. King 10, 8, 5, and Ace Jack. And there you go. 9, 9, 7, 2 spades. No spades for the players. Gutter for Chris. Overs for Kyle and Nolan.
Kyle recognizes this is a bad board for his range, but he turns top pair.
3 spades out there. I hope Tom never plays with Kyle in chat because Kyle can read him pretty well here. So Kyle does bet 125. Nolan, no spades. Ace Jack, splash in the pot. Good for you, Nolan. To the river,
Heel.
10 of spades gives Kyle 2 pair. Can't play 3 pair against the rules.
Yeah, it goes check, check. Bad river card for Kyle. He knows he's dead to a lot of random spades, but for him, he gets a... He's lucky his opponent doesn't lead into him. If his opponent leads for, like, pot, it's just, like, the grossest spot ever, and you, like, might have to fold sometimes. Because he's just usually repping a flush there. The viewers picked up. They saw the tables full, and they bought back in to see how it ends.
I hope all of them are following us on our new Instagram. I haven't checked, Kyle. I'm kind of nervous. I'm nervous excited. I think we're going to go from, you were number 9?
Yeah, there was 10 last time I checked.
I know Sydney from
11
marketing
now.
was number 7. Ryan Unger was number 8. Kyle Fischel number 9. And we went 10 and 11. So if you're in chat and you haven't followed us on Instagram yet, shame on you. You can be an OG, an original grammar. How about that? That's horrible. Not as good as the Darth Vader joke. All right, we got a couple hands here with a 3 bet.
Kyle's going to 3-bet small. He has the goods this time. No need to size up. Not really looking for folds. You're trying to build the pot.
How about Tony's
Maybe
timing here?
Yeah, maybe he enticed a light 4-bet. Which, you know, Kyle's perceptive. He's seen this guy 4-bet with weak aces 2 other times in 3 hours. That's quite a high 4-bet bluffing frequency. Not that you need to have 4-bet. You have to worry about 4-bet bluffs because ace-king's just strong enough to play standardly and just... Well, it looks like a 5-bet.
I think that's for change.
Oh, okay.
I think there's a 1075 for 4 bills back. He might have said call there. But we are heads up.
It looked like he threw 1,000 in there, so...
Yeah, 1,000, and a lot of players want the big change back. So we have just under 1,500 in the pot, and Tony's going to make middle pair on the Jack 10-9, and Kyle's just got 2 overs. Would need running cards for a straight, no flush.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate because Tony's actually just ripped with complete whiffs sometimes when he 4-bets. This time Kyle just check folds, gets a gross board with no clubs, and shows a 9. Ugh.
The other one's a 9. How much?
It's just such a card you don't want to see. Like, if you're Kyle, you'd be fine seeing the jack. You're like, okay, well, he 3-bet with pocket, or he 4-bet with pocket jacks. That's fine. Like, that he wins the 50-50. I don't hit an ace or a king, but you see the 9, and now you're wondering if you were 4-bet with pocket 9s and they hit a set. And instead, they just 4-bet Jack 9 off and hit a 9. And that one's gonna be painful to see later.
All right, John's back in the dealer chair here. 7-handed in this 5-10 no limit cash game. $25 straddle, 3K min, no max. Looking out into flight A of the Moneymaker main event. There are now 14 players remaining. 11 are bagging. Still wishing them all luck. If you want to play in one of the day ones, you have a chance tomorrow and Saturday for $1,500. You also could satellite in for $186. Try and take a shot at that $300,000 guaranteed prize pool, which will definitely get crushed, as all prize pools do here at Daytona Beach Racing and Card Club. Don't forget, on Monday you can watch the final 6 players play for the lion's share of that prize pool. The last time around, first place was right around 100K. See how it goes for this week. 2 other trophy events, event number 11 and 12. Check the calendar if you want to go to DaytonaBeachPoker.com. Check out the new Instagram page, also on Facebook, X, all of the above. So Chris makes his standard opening to 100. Tom's going to look him up with Jack 8 suited, the old Unabomber hand, and he's going to pair up, but Chris is going to make top. What'd you call it?
I said both flop a jack.
Yep, top for Chris.
Less ideal for Tom because he has a gutter as well. Can't fold the 1 bet. We'll see how much pressure Chris wants to put in there. And probably not a lot, as Tom makes the straight. Seems like a good card. Chris has 20,000 in front of him. I believe he was only in for 5K, so this is quite a spin up for him today. And Chris rivers 2 pairs, so we're gonna see if Tom goes for large value, medium value.
Should bet pot here, and it looks like he's going to go just under 450 into 530. Chris said he's not folding. That's a call. See the bad news here.
Yep, that's one of those reverse implied outs where it hits that ace, and you look at it and say, if it wasn't an ace, I'd probably get away from it and don't lose all this. But
Fortunate run out for Tom.
if we river the ace, we are definitely calling.
So we are 7-handed here. If you're tuning in, you have Tony in seat 1, Chris in spot 2. That's Nolan playing out of the 3.5 seat, we'll call it. Tom Wheaton in the middle. Our new player Alex would be next to him. Romo in the 6-ish spot, 7. And Kyle in the 8 seat, 9 seat, depending on how many chairs are there.
Gonna raise the deuces from early position. Well, it's all the way to Tom with a raggedy ace. And Romo's got a playable hand. Gonna call with some Broadway cards, hoping to look for some paint. He is. But Kyle finds a deuce. Finally some run good. Hits a set. Bets 100. Just even when he hits his hand, his opponent doesn't connect in any way where he can call. Just somewhat running bad. You can even win hands and make sets and run bad when your opponent just check folds and you get no money in there.
Oh, a lot of Golden Knights here in the UCF players there. Kyle, you ever been out to UCF, what they call the bounce house, and watch a game?
I have never, but I've been to the library. As close as I got.
I went out there. They had the Apollos football team for a minute. It kind of disbanded. That was the one coached by Steve Spurrier, and it was kind of fun to be out there for a couple of games. I can't think of the initials, football league that disbanded, but it was worth a try. We have action folded around to the button. Haven't seen much of that tonight. Big blind versus straddle possibly, which is Romo versus Kyle. And is that the actual first walk of the night? Or do we have one walk earlier?
Unfortunately, I was thinking like Kyle's gonna have like ace king or aces or something. Sometimes you just get one of those nights you're in an action-packed table, and then you just get a walk and you look down and you're like, oh, that was a premium.
What do you think about 5-handed no walk, 7-handed a walk? Highly unlikely. Yeah.
I mean, the early players I have to tighten up a little bit. There's more people to get through. It's not like the under the gun's the cutoff anymore. The under the gun is actually +1, so they really need to wind back in. You see a queen 9 off fold. Like, I don't think that would ever happen if we were 5-handed. 7-6 suited, reasonable. He's gonna open to 100. Seems he's adopted the 4x. And Kyle's gonna defend a suited jack. Tony with a suited ace. He likes to go big with these weird small aces. See what he's gonna do with this one. Taking his time and thinking about it.
Look at Kyle, the 3-bet from him. Okay, I was going to say, often leads to this 4-bet position by Tony, putting Kyle in a bad spot. But Tony gets out of the way, ace-7 of hearts.
Kyle is out of position. Only gets 1 diamond, and somehow Tom flops top pair with 6-7.
Tony would have had the ace-7 of hearts there.
Can't imagine Tom's folding to 1 bet. You make a 6 there. But your opponent on a lot of ace-x combinations that are doing pretty poorly right now, so 7-6 is a pretty good call. We're going to see if he can hold on when a king hits. Much better for Kyle. Does Kyle put the second barrel on, put Tom in a difficult spot? He absolutely is. He's saying, I'm not showing down jack high, so here is $600 that says I have a random king, ace king, king queen, king jack, maybe an overpair, like 10s plus, not over king. Maybe I have 2 hearts. Tom is not going away. Choosing to stick around. Oh, this is... Let's see if Kyle tells the story. He three bets big, bets flop, bets turn when a king comes better for his range. But if he's repping a king, how does he have an ace? Unless he has exactly ace-king. Unless he has ace-x of hearts exactly. He does choose to wave the flag.
I think the ace ruined it. Yep.
Yeah, it's a goofy run out because it's just... when the king hits, you're telling the story that you have a king, and now the ace hits, and you can't just change your story 3 times in a hand and expect it to work. The run out just kind of put you in jail. It's just, again, another just unfortunate run out.
Kyle in chat says it's a good run out for Kyle the player, but as Kyle Official's saying, you really do say I have exactly ace king there. That's tough line to hold up with the ace comes, kind of an action killer there. Any other card comes, I believe Kyle's going to put the last bet in. Maybe. Tom was sticky on the turn.
A big bet on the river probably does work, but again, when you bet turn, you're not really ever repping ace X unless it's like ace queen of hearts or ace jack of hearts specifically. You have like 3 combinations that have an ace in there. And then pocket aces, I guess. I guess you have that too, but you're so minimal on the aces. When you bet the king, you're really more saying you have a king. So when the ace comes, you wouldn't bet a king anymore. You can't just keep switching up the story. You can't just, no, I have this hand and it's good for me. No, I have this hand and it's good for me. And yeah, ace king does work. It's one of those hands that's possible, but when you're playing really, really high stakes and high level, you want to have a range of hands that all make sense. When you're putting a bluff in there, you want to just have like multiple value hands that all play the same way, and in this one you had very few, and your bluffs are just an infinite amount of missed hearts. Like if you had king X of hearts, you wouldn't even bet river, so you can't bet when the ace hits. Very, very unlikely. If you had 8s plus, 8s to jacks to queens, like you're never betting 3 streets either. It's just much of your 3 betting range has been just cut to 1 or 3 different hands.
So on this one, Tom had raised to 100 with 10-8 suited, and Romo 3-bet to 400, ace-king off. Tom made the call, and we had a flop at ace-4-8. Tom has a pair and a flush draw, super strong here with the pair of eights, but Romo has top, and he has bet 300. Tom check calls here. We're now at 1,400 and change in the pot. The board pairs. Tom still just eights and fours. Romo aces and fours. Tom had a ton of equity on that flop, but you see you get halved with only one card to come. All the spades available for him.
Yeah, your middle pair plus flush draws specifically are your strongest check calls. It's what the solver likes. Because on this board specifically, if you raise, you're kind of not getting an ace to fold all that often. So you're putting more money in the middle while you don't have the best hand. And then when the obvious flush comes in, it's kind of hard to get paid when you floated the pot and your opponent has a single pair. So check call is what the computer likes with middle pair plus flush draw.
Tom's going to fold here, Kyle, but it looks like he was getting just the right price for the equity he had, almost 3-1. But he does lay it down. On a paired board, it's hard to draw for a flush.
Yeah, that too. You're no longer drawing to like a nutted hand. There are some times where whatever spade comes gives your opponent a full house, and you never want to have those reversed implied odds. It can be very expensive.
I like to coin the term negative reverse implied odds. So 7-handed here on the stream with Kyle Fischel and Ryan Unger. We are watching this 5-10 no limit game with you. $25 straddle when wanted and 3K min. And the max has been uncapped. And we've seen plenty of players topping off. Alex right now breaks his 0% VPIP. That'll be the first hand that we see chips voluntarily put in besides a blind. Uses the dirty diaper, which we talked about earlier, to open that up. It's going to get called by Kyle with 10 tray. A little sticky with the spades there. And Nolan, ace tray hearts. Everybody holding the tray.
Yeah, Nolan's been quiet as of late. Kyle's going to defend his button. Position is very important, so see what develops here.
Alex's tray deuce would be pretty well hidden, but he's not going to connect with anything. But no one else has really also connected. Wonder if Alex can find a C-bet here and take it down.
New player hasn't played any hands yet. How often do you expect them to come in their first hand with a bluff?
I think that 175 bet there probably would have taken that down. I think he could have got through, but he doesn't like to check. Now Nolan's going to turn the nut flush draw, and the king of hearts comes, and it gives Kyle a gutter. We need a queen. Looks like Nolan's going to decide to take the lead here with 200, and that's going to take it down. So Nolan dragon chips with ace high flush draw, which was the best hand. We're not going to have much longer on the stream. I believe we have roughly 20 to 25 minutes left for you all. The players will continue to play, but the plan for the stream was roughly 4 hours. So just a little bit of a warning. I think we have about 20, 25 minutes of coverage left. So Kyle was in for 5 to start, and if I'm not mistaken, he has topped off twice. But the problem is there was a split pot when they ran it twice that the tracker didn't catch, so our chip stacks are a little bit off. I'll go ahead and show you this, but I don't think it's correct. And don't worry about the big blinds. We're not in a tournament. But I don't believe that's correct.
Yeah, the other issue with the correct stack sizing is when you're just reaching into your bag and pulling out some pumpkins. I don't know, maybe you pulled out 4 pumpkins, maybe you pulled out 5, maybe you pulled out 2. Who knows? So, won't really know perfect stats right now, but We do see he has a big stack in front of him. He's ready to play 20K deep with Chris Moneymaker. Only takes one hand to turn the entire night around and then some.
Especially when you mix in the Omaha, which Kyle is more of a mixed player. He will play 2 cards, but I think he prefers 4 cards as well. So a little bit more interesting with the equities playing 4 cards. See, Romo is going to be under the gun. Alex has the straddle on. Ace tray of diamonds.
You can go either way with it. In a tough game, it's a pretty standard fold. In a game where you think you have an edge, it's a pretty easy call. Or easy raise. Not call. Call would be a bad option. Jack 10 off. Going for a raise. Chris wakes up with an ace 5. Won one of his biggest hands today with ace 5 into ace 9 when he flopped a 5. So sometimes you just feel in yourself. Queen Jack suited, very pretty, but versus a 4-bet feels like a very bad hand.
I think I saw you here last time.
When you're in a tough game with 3 bets and 4 bets, that's why sometimes you can just pass on the ace 3 suited under the gun.
I'm gonna watch the stream. Okay. Not so much for you guys. I want to watch myself.
With about 15 minutes left in the stream, once again, do want to thank the production crew for bringing this to you. We had quite a handful of people helping us out here. Don't want to miss anyone. I did make some notes, Kyle, because you know, as you get older, the memory's the first to go. But we do want to thank Jonathan on the cameras and Thomas on the action tracker, Dylan and John from our IT team helping with production, our marketing team, Frank and Sydney, poker room manager Joe LaRosa, tournament director Byron Rodriguez helping put together the lineup. I have a special announcement from Fred Guzman and during our stream on Monday. We will give our own outros later so we can let Mr. Fischel plug himself again. And I also want to make sure everyone in chat has touched that follow button on Instagram. I can see most of your names. It's not going to be hard to hunt you down and get you to press that button. So 6-handed. Looks like 50 to Romo would complete that 6-handed to the flop here. Getting quite a price.
Yeah, seems like a pretty good hand to play multi-way.
8 to 1 enough for a 9-7 suited? I think so.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So Nolan sitting this one out. Chris ahead pre-flop with ace-10. And does anyone have a 5? Yes, Tony has a 5. It's like you have a 5. Chris with a gutter and an overcard.
Bottom pair and a flush draw is ahead. But Kyle with just a flush draw trying to hit a diamond would be wonderful for one of these draws to come in for him. Been
Chris
trying
on
to
a standard
think
float
of
here,
what-
Kyle. Ace-10.
Well, he's up like I think $15,000, so seems like a invincible moment where you can just, you know, go for it and drill the queen. Ugh, 5-4 would have had quads. This is just unfortunately a board that Kyle can't even bluff at. Any pair is just never folding. If he has a jack, he's just calling anything. If he has a king, he's calling anything. So another run out where you're just kind of put in jail.
Tony commiserating over the 5-4, but King Jack 5, 5-4 is not the greatest. Greatest holding, 2 diamonds on the board. So we're on hand number 87. As we get ready for some action here, looks like Tony will be first to act, and he's got the dead man hand, the ace-8. Do you know why that's the dead man hand, Kyle? It's pretty easy poker trivia.
I do know that one because a man was shot in the back of the head and he happened to be holding aces and 8s.
Yeah, you can watch Deadwood to relive it. That was Wild Bill Hickok. Chris is going to just flat with ace-10 suited. which is going to invite Nolan in. Jack 10 off. Tom let go of a offsuit king. Couple folds around. Now back. No, that's it. That closes it. Kyle out. Yep. So we're three-handed with the ace-8 Tony opened with, and then Chris came along with ace-10 suited and Nolan with jack-10, and Tony had the ace-8. It's going to make a gutter. It's going to need a 6. He's going to bet out.
I got some backdoor hearts working as well. Seems like a reasonable bet spot.
And that's going to take it down, though.
Easy 200.
Players making arrangements when they're off the stream table. Possibly add some 4-card into the mix. Five, 4. Chris Moneymaker won the 2003 main event with 5-4. Just trying to get a rise out of the production crew here, Kyle. I got one head nod.
Seems reasonable.
None of the bots in chat recognize the trivia. Tom not gonna. Nope. 3 bets of 400 with ace queen over the top of Moneymaker is open for 75. Kyle lays down a premium holding for him, which was ace-10 off. Back to Chris. Yeah, it's a pretty big fold. Chris with 5-4 would have to put another 3 1/4 in, be out of position against Tom, but he's grabbing chips, which means call. So we're heads up, 840 in the middle, and we got the 5-4 versus the old ace queen. The old 60-40, and we're going to hit a pair of 4s and a pair of aces. Looks like Tom puts a $300 bet out there, and Chris definitely going to look him up. So we're 1,400 and change in the pot.
King doesn't actually change anything. It looks scary when you have ace-queen, but ace-king was beating you already. You don't really expect your opponent to have kings and not 4-bet. You don't really expect them to have king-7. So the king is, for all intents and purposes, a complete brick. Pretty easy card to bet a second time with if you have ace-queen.
But Tom finds a check. I was going to say if a 5 came, you let him get there, but nope.
Sometimes you just want to realize your equity, pot control a little bit. He goes for a bet on the river.
About a third of the pot.
Now Chris has a 5. He has the blocker to a straight. It's not the nutted hand because hearts are available, but it would not be unforeseeable for him to do a very creative move and turn this 5-4 into a bluff. Also, he's got the it's his winning hand extra value to it, so you know, you get the lulls. But when he postures like this and kind of shrugs, I think it gets to the point where raise is being taken off the table. It gets closer to just call or fold. And he has seen Tom just get out of line, and he's gonna pay him off. Get some value with the ace on the river.
Hear the slow roll talk. We've only had the one slow roll.
Yep, no, could not get a second one. He wanted to too. Was very close to a slow roll.
So Kyle, we have a few hands left here. Let these folks at home know how they can see some official content once again.
Yeah, anyone interested in checking out my poker vlog? I've made many of vlogs at Orange City, my favorite card room. Name is Kyle Fischl, F-I-S-C-H-L. Still make a video probably every week, give you a decent amount of education, some entertainment, and just follow me on my endeavor to play poker across the state of Florida. Be a fun little ride. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure to work with Dr. Fischel. You see my co-host for Monday in the middle, the gray moneymaker pullover.
It's high level of fashion right there.
I have that exact same pullover. I will not be wearing it on Monday.
But you all could match in the booth. And the first Instagram post on the Orange City Instagram could be the two commentators matching. That could be the first post ever.
I'm so out against that, but thank you, Kyle. You make content, but I don't know where that idea is going. Yeah, I might borrow Moneymakers. I like that Star Wars look when he does it. I'm also going to go with his hairstylist. I like what he's doing there. So Tony has a real hand here, and so does Kyle. Kyle found that 4-bet to 7. So let's retrace here. You see Alex has an open 9-5. Romo found the 3-bet. Standard King 10 suited. Kyle 4-bets. And looks like Tony is 5-betting. Is it a shove? Just 2K flat.
Yeah, small. One of the smaller sizes for a 5-bet. Typically, you'd it's actually kind of big. I misspoke. When you 4-bet and 5-bet, you're no longer really going for 3x. Like 2x and 2.1, 2.2x are actually more standard raises because the move itself just looks so strong in general that you don't need to 3x it. Like it's just unnecessary. You're just lighting money on fire for the few times you're behind. So you can 4-bet and 5-bet at a much smaller sizing, and it works the exact same. You get the money in when you need it to, and I suppose with Queen specifically against Ace Jack, you're probably fine either way, because if you go too small and Ace Jack offsuit calls and there's an ace on the flop, feels just gross. You wish you would have just ripped and got Ace Jack off out. So Queen's picks on 2K sizing and gets a pretty big pot for just a one pair.
Probably happy to take that one down. I bet you the players are bagging now, Kyle. Haven't checked in a minute, but they were playing down to 11. Don't forget, you yourself, if you're listening, watching, however you're viewing this, could be in Daytona tomorrow playing the 300K guarantee, $1,500 buy-in, or there's 2 chances tomorrow to saddle it in for $186. And don't forget, Saturday they have the $186 5K guarantee. That's event number 11. And event number 12 is a $500 20K guarantee, and that's the Moneymaker Last Chance on Sunday. So besides the main event, 2 other trophy events still left to be played at Daytona Beach Racing and Card Club. Hope to see some of you here, and possibly Monday's final table stream. Great event, having the Moneymaker Tour come through with Tony Burns and Chris Moneymaker, working with our tournament director Byron Rodriguez to bring you great structures and value from the Daytona Beach Racing and Card Club. So here we are, 4-handed, hit the flop here. Looks like Moneymaker bet out with his 6. He's going to get looked up by Romo with top pair, and Kyle with a gutter, the 5 deuce. Pretty hidden there, Kyle, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, he's had some moves. This could have been a spot where he feels like raising is possible. 3 makes a jack and a 6 feel a lot better. 4 gets a little more dynamic, more full house possibilities. Chris leads for 400.
You can't be on a gutter against 2 flush draws on the board, so Kyle will probably be out, but Romo's definitely going to look this up. And now your pot is under 2K, Kyle. Go ahead, please. Sorry.
Yeah, Kyle folds pretty quickly. Against 2 players, it gets a lot harder to navigate. And would he have smacked that? He had 5 deuce.
5 deuce, 3 hearts on the board and a pair, though.
Yeah, Kyle would have smacked that 4.
I'm sure he'd like to see a bet and a fold so he doesn't have to see what he actually was up against.
Yeah, when
But
Chris
nope.
checks, Jack has so much showdown value. The pot's massive for a single pair of jacks. You are just so happy to check that one back. And,
Jackson trays versus 6s and trays. So Kyle, I'm being told that we are about to witness the very last hand of the evening, or that was it. So the players have finished playing on stream. They are going to stick around and they're going to switch it up, maybe add some 4-card in the mix. But for us, the stream is now going to be ending. I do want to thank everyone for viewing, whether it was on Twitch, YouTube, or Facebook. Please check out all of our social media for upcoming events and more information on the Moneymaker Tour that is in town now. Kyle, I'll let you get your outro in, and then I'm going to silence the table. So I do thank you for joining me. Go ahead.
So yeah, thank you all for joining us today. Take time out of your schedule. Every person who takes the time to watch, we appreciate providing you with some content, some poker knowledge, maybe some entertainment as well. All the stuff that help us build the game, get more players involved, and maybe next time we'll see you on a live stream.
Awesome, Kyle. It's always a pleasure. I hope get to see you soon. Maybe Memorial Day weekend we could do a meetup game in Orange City. I know the players love coming to play with you and do those bomb pots. Thank you, everybody. Don't forget, day 1B and C still coming up. $1,500 buy-in, $300K guarantee at the Daytona Beach Racing and Card Club. Come out and play with 2003 World Series main event champion Chris Moneymaker and see the staff out here. My name is Ryan Unger. It's been a pleasure on stream. We'll see you again Monday. Have a great night.